including last year. Goes back short to Nelson. Not a great kick coming inboard, but finding Jackson Ramsey. His first kick in state football. Flares it across the half-back line. And Sinclair making his debut as well this afternoon.
That's Sinclair. A great kick.
Yeah, great kick. Great searching kick. Finds the teammate there in Litherland. Short pass from Litherland. And this is Black. Black with a short pass. That wasn't great execution. Just getting back there is Kane Stevens. Gets the hand pass off to Tropiano. Back to Stevens. They're under a lot of pressure. Good tackling there by DeLuca. Forces the error. It goes to Ugle. Ugle shoots it towards goal and bounces it through. So the first goal of the match coming up 3.5 minutes into the first quarter to Western Australia off the boot of Gerald Ugle. He's very good in situations like that, John Townsend, and that's what he's down there for, the small forward to kick goals.
Great finish, and set up by that kick from half-back out to Litherland, who got away from his man, was free on a wing. Across to Black, then into the forward line, and Loch Delahunty, who's going to play primarily in the forward line, I think, with a bit of a chop out in the ruck with Corey Gold. Got it to ground, and Ugle hasn't been in great form for Peel, but he's a dual premiership captain and played a good role last year, forward and in the back pocket, and he's an opportunist, and he finished off very well. And I think that's what WA are looking. They're looking to squeeze in the middle, get it down there quickly, and then make the most of it in the 50.
Umpire throws this one up. Noel won the tap. Going after it, there was Galt. Threw it onto his right boot. Doesn't go very far. In went Horsley. Tropiano got a hand pass away, but couldn't find the teammate. Now there's a chance for South Australia to emerge through Pearce. Delivers the ball nicely and out wide, and has found Wilson. He's right on the boundary line. Wilson, a very fleet-of-foot player. Unwinds and goes for distance. That's going to be out of bounds on the full, and on a day such as the conditions are, Tal, you wouldn't think there's any excuse for that.
Absolutely not, and unfortunately I've only got the broadcast view of the city end, so you're going to have to keep me informed with what's happening down at the east end.
I was just testing you out there, but I can inform you that the kick from into play by Lockie was not good either, and set a real task there for Galt, and the ball's gone over the line on the bounce, right full forward for South Australia.
Galt started really well. Follow-ups has been fantastic, and here's West Australia breaking out of the defensive 50 with a long kick down the wing.
Yeah, from Bolton. There's a beauty too, and finds Schleuth. So Schleuth wheels around under the right boot. Kicks it there into the path of Bennell. Excitement machine. This man kicked 4 goals last week in Perth's win. Now he can run into an open goal. Look at the acceleration. Shrugs off one tackle. What about those confidence? Michael Bennell in his debut with his first kick in interstate footy registers West Australian second. In 5.5 minutes, they lead 2-0.
Again, set up really well from the half-back line. WA have long surging kicks forward, breaking lines, and when you've got your forward line, playing in front, the result is what it is.
Great finish, wasn't it, from Bennell? He took his man on and was pretty confident, as you described, Phil, that he had the option. He was probably 35 out from goal and ran off his man. Great finish from Bennell. Intriguing matchup with Gerald Ugle down there playing on Cam Sutcliffe, who, of course, they played together a lot at Peel.
Teammates, indeed.
Premiership teammates
indeed.
At Peel.
So, back in the middle of the ground, putting his head down over the footy there is Gold, as we mentioned, has been prominent. He's been in the action. He's going to have to contest another ball up, opposed to the giant Michael Knoll. Does well, Gold, and again he gets the clearing kick. Only just clears the centre circle. Coming out there is Suckhold, taken in a good tackle and dispossessed. Chance now for Foot. He was fleet of foot and got it onto his right boot. Good fisting away there by Western Australia. They've got the ball again through DeLuca, who's been prominent. Now to Bolton. Bolton issues instructions with his hand about where he wants to kick it, and then goes to Bennell again. Bennell there with Haynes. Haynes, now in comes Schleuth, and Haynes' hand pass a little bit jittery. South Australia, and that's the first behind of the match. A rushed behind, but again at the city at the end of the ground to Western Australia, and they lead as Sutcliffe brings the ball into play. 2 goals, 1 to no score.
Yeah, Bennell again involved there, wasn't he? He looked dangerous, and the bounce of the ball didn't suit him, but they're pushing hard, WA.
And another good pass there by West Australia.
It was Kitchen, first touch.
Yep. In fact, I think it was Hayden Kennedy who got it from Mitchell initially, but the important thing is that it's found its way onto the chest of this man here, Ben Sokol, who certainly does know how to kick goals.
Even though it's early in the first quarter here, boys, West Australia really looking playing as a real tight-knit team, having the opportunity to pull on the state jersey a couple of times with the ball going through from behind there. It's really, the WA boys really enjoy playing together and representing WA, so the start that they've put on the board here is definitely reflective of that.
So SANFL has had some experience on this ground, playing in a premiership for Subiaco against West Perth last year. Here's the kick in from Curran, and well directed too, to the outer side of the ground. The run comes from Tropiano, the way the hand pass goes to Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe now to Menzel. Menzel gets it to Noble. Noble, a good searching kick inside, attacking 50, and a good mark has been taken down there too by Beach. Just used his body really well, John, and knocked his opponent off the footy, and in the end took a chest mark, but it was well thought out.
Yeah, against Bailey Rogers, making his debut. Very promising young defender at Claremont. He's on the radar of the mid-season AFL rookie draft too in a couple of weeks' time.
A lot of the scouts here today, we'll make comment about that in just a moment, because it's not something you can ignore, that issue, as Beach comes in and he likes it. That's a really good set shot. Not such a good set shot by Sokol at the other end of the ground for Western Australia, but John O'Beach has been in pretty good form in recent weeks. Towel for his club West Adelaide. He averages 8 marks a game, and in round 4 he took 14 marks and kicked 4 goals, 1. And last week, in their round 6, he kicked 4 goals, 1 as well. So he's a tall forward in form.
Absolutely, and obviously playing in front with his big body. If the South Australian boys start feeding him, with some nice delivery, he'll be one to watch out for. By the looks of things, Tony Knott has now moved on to him, or that may have been a bit of a switch in play. So, having Tony Knott, one of the hard men of the WAFL, that'll be a very good contest.
Yeah, 5 times successful state player Tony Knott. Very select.
I think he started on him and just through those rotations
through the
in
transition.
The back line. Yeah.
Gold having a rest. Delahunty in the ruck. The umpire, not a great bounce, but he calls play on it. Bounces nicely for Horsley. That's what it did do. Cross his body, kicks it up over the left half forward flank. Coming out to read it was Curran. Hand pass not good. Look at Bennell. Swoops on it. A daisy cutter into centre half forward. Proud there. Couldn't get the handle on the footy. Here's a chance now again for Kitchen. Hand pass wasn't particularly good. Sokol was under pressure. South Australia out of trouble with a wobbly kick. It's going to land with Noel, who cleverly elected not to take it to Wilson. Now on to Kane Stevens. The hand pass not great there for Noble, but he gives it back to Stevens. The kick not good either. Pierce will need his speed here. Tries to fend off Schleut. Great tackle by Hayden Schleut. That'll be holding the footy, but the advantage is with Western Australia. And Michael Bennell goes to the right half forward flank, I should say. It's doing pretty well down there. Galt still having a rest from the ruck, but the boundary line too close and it's gone over. So on the right half forward flank boundary throw in. Western Australia 2-2. South Australia 1 straight goal from John O'Beach. Free kick into play for Western Australia. Into the pocket, into the shade. Pretty warm out there this afternoon, I would think, as a Prouder sliding hand pass goes to Allman across the ground now to Hoskin. Hoskin really hasn't got much to go to, so he goes with a long ball, and wasn't what he intended, but a bad drop there by Litherland. He should have really sewn that one up. Now it comes out to Snelling. Long kick up toward the right half forward line. Here's a great effort down there, beautifully taken there by South Australia's Jordan Foote, and Foote takes a bounce. He steadies, and all of a sudden they're almost back on an even keel. That was a great solo effort by South Australia. Jordan Foote has converted, and South Australia have 2 straight goals. Western Australia 2-2.
And Jordan Foote's one of those players who've come in to add real run and dash to the South Australian side. A lot of their senior players, Mitch Grigg, Matt Panos, Kirkwood, Travis Schiller.
They had some big outs, didn't they?
Yeah, very big, experienced players, but perhaps not as quick as the players they've come with. So the plan is pretty clear, isn't it? They're going to try and run WA, and after a tough opening 10 minutes or so, they've settled pretty well. Very similar in reverse to the state game last year, where the home team got off to a good start, and then the visiting side pegged them back.
I'm just wondering if that was not Dom Barry who kicked that goal, number 22, and not Foote, but that was Nelson who got the clearing kick there. Bolton. Now there's a chance for Aaron Black. Gets good support from his West Perth teammate, and Shane Nelson with a high kick, setting a task there for Blair Bell, and good defensive work by Proud to force the ball over the line and out of bounds.
Super important for WA to really get these centre clearances. Corey Galt's been doing that tremendously. We need to get some more hands on the ball through Lachlan Delahunty, which is obviously driving the footy forward for WA.
Delahunty in there now. The ball comes to DeLuca. Good hand pass to Kennedy. Kennedy just threw it onto the boot and it bounced initially off the chest of Sokol. But he's a hard player to match up on, Ben Sokol. He plays a bit taller, Tal, than he actually looks. On that occasion, he was in the right position at the right time. The kick wasn't good, but it found the target nevertheless.
That's it. Just instinctive play there from WA, just pushing the ball forward. And, yeah, Sokol, very strong-bodied forward. So, he'll always get front position. And that time, with the ball just falling in the right spot, he now gets a shot on goal.
So Ben Sokol, his first kick at goal wasn't
particularly
good. This one is gun barrel straight, and so Western Australia have 3. They move on to 3 goals to 20. 8 points to the good of South Australia, who've kicked 2 straight.
Yep, it's good response too after South Australia had played pretty good footy for the last 5 minutes or so. And, we're just seeing the game, as you said at the start, may well be played between the arcs to some significant degree. But good finishing. He's a very strong player overhead, Ben Sokol, only about 182 centimetres or so, but plays very strong, plays a lot taller than his actual build.
Averages about 8.5 marks a match, and last week, in really good form, coming into this match, took 11 marks. So one of the most prolific contested marks in the WAFL as the ball comes down to Kane Stevens. That was foot number 23. Gave the ball to Snelling, a high ball, they're hard to take. Corralling it out there is Black. Hand pass to Lockyer. Back to Aaron Black, who slipped over, so he finds Lockyer again. Short pass is not a good one, along the boundary line and then over.
Black working really hard this last 5 minutes, and is obviously driving the ball forward. We just got to keep him on his toes and making sure he gets around all of our clearance opportunities.
He will find the ball though, Tal, won't he? He's just amazing at that. There's Delahunty in ruck again opposed to Hayes. Then that could have been holding the footy. He took it, maybe had prior opportunity. The umpire says play on. The ball socket into the clear. Picking it up there was Mitchell. High kick from just a step. He was under pressure. Delahunty from behind tried to control it. Hayes is number 20 there for Adelaide, and that's going to be a ball out between the wing and the centre of the ground outer side of Optus Stadium.
Michael Bennell's had a bright start, hasn't he? There was apprehension in the WA coaching ranks about how he was going to go. They know he's a mercurial player, but he's made a very bright start. That's a dangerous sign for South Australia.
I just thought going into the game that he was going to be one who was just going to find his spot on this big stage. I mean, I saw him make his debut, I think, it was against Swan Districts last year down at Bassanine Oval for Perth, and he just immediately made an impression. He's a very talented player. As Snelling gives the ball out to Wilson. Wilson draws a player, gives it on to Beach. Up towards the forward pocket. Lockyer, the tackler there. And once and then twice, and the South Australian player almost threw himself into the Jordan Lockyer tackle, so there'll be a ball up just inside attacking 50 on the right half forward flank for South Australia.
Just looking on our Kia WAFL State Game feed on Facebook, there's a few of our ex-state players that are joining on. Brett Robinson, welcome, mate, and a few of the Swan Districts boys are tuning in. So, state footy is alive within WAFL ranks, and it's awesome to have this telecast out for everyone to watch this afternoon.
You premiership blokes all stick together.
He wasn't just a Swan Districts team, mate. He's a CBACO player as well. Come on, he spread himself around a bit.
Yeah, sorry, mate. We'll leave that. Kirk Ugle jumping on board. Matty Rogers. It's all happening online.
So South Australia, meanwhile, I've got a free kick. I guess it was for the deliberate force through by Sinclair, but either way, Hoskin has kicked the ball across his body. So Justin Hoskin bringing up yet another one, the third goal for South Australia. In general play, boys, Western Australia seem to have had a lot more of the footy, but very tight now on the scoreboard with the South Australian boys kicking 3 goals to WA's 3 goals to 3-2, so WA just by 2 points.
They assess that as not being under pressure then.
And they've definitely soaked up, WA's fast start. So it's a credit to them to be able to, now steady the flow of the attack of WA. And now we get into some regular footy.
What was that free kick for deliberate through by Sinclair down there? I didn't actually see what the umpire awarded for. I think it was the only thing it could have been for.
Yep. No pressure, perhaps.
So now it's goal back in ruck, opposed to Hayes. Hayes now giving chase. DeLuca gets there first. Missed a Bolton with the hand pass. Tropiano gave it to Wilson. How quick is this player? Gives it off to Barry. Barry tried to give it back then to Kane Stevens, but intercepting it was Horsley. Hand pass to Nelson. Now to Delahunty again. Further afield to Galton, across his body again. Blair Bell imposing himself, just worked his way down the corridor, took the mark on the chest, goes for Burnell, and look at that mark. What a great lead. The delivery was superb also by Blair Bell, but Burnell will go back from 45 metres with a chance to kick his second goal.
Fantastic direct footy there by WA, and super important that WA do wrap up number 2, Anthony Wilson. He's been fantastic throughout the stoppages, and he's directing traffic down here in defence for South Australia. So we look forward to seeing Burnell slot another one through. We'll go into plan.
Making his debut, he looks as though he's playing about his 10th state game. Michael Burnell goes back and has just flared this one to the right. So great passage of play and a good mark, but unfortunately couldn't finish off with the required kick.
He's got a long scoring zone. He's probably kicks them from 55 regularly in the WAFL. So he's a dangerous player. And as we said earlier, he's in the game early, which is very good signs for WA.
So bringing the ball into play for South Australia, and coming across the bows there and putting a fist into it was Sinclair, and knocks the ball away for a throw-in. So nearly 19 minutes gone in this first quarter. The quarters are 27 minutes straight, guys.
Correct.
There are various scenarios that I don't even want to think about. If there's a stretcher rule, what happens? There's no time on.
Especially with the Fremantle-Richmond game afterwards. It could be a massive calamity, but let's just hope for a nice, clean game here.
Gold again floating a ball from the stoppage in towards centre-half forward, but taking the mark there proud. He goes to the outer side of the ground. Well-directed kick despite the attention there of Burnell. A good, strong mark taken by Haynes. He's right on defensive 50.
Brown's been very solid on Delahunty, who's a very creative player, but he's got to him 2 or 3 times and it negated him. So that's a win for South Australia at the moment.
Barry to Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe then to Ormond. Ormond, another short pass that I think was touched in flight to Barry, put him under pressure. The hand pass looking there for Sutcliffe. He sold Ormond back into trouble. That wasn't good footy by South Australia. Using it short, they needed to just execute a lot better on that occasion and allowed West Australia to halve it. Slightly out of sight. Delahunty puts the fist into it. Nelson roved it cleverly. Hand pass then to Horsley. Spearing pass. The lead coming out there from Sockhole. He's really providing some headaches for South Australia. Plays on quickly. Look at the delivery to Schleuf.
Great hit.
It was a great hit up. Schleuf was there. His opponent wasn't far off him, but such was the delivery of Ben Sockhole that he's found Schleuf 25 metres out from goal, 60-degree angle, and the Sandover medalist, one of 5 out there today, should be able to slot this one for WA.
Yep. One of the best set shots in WA football, Hayden Schleuf. Won the Sandover 2 years ago. Was on the Freo list for a while when he was quite young and immature, but has grown into his role and is a very influential player now.
Best on ground last week for South Fremantle against West Coast. He goes back and does exactly as John Townsend predicted. He's kicked another one for Western Australia. So well done, Hayden Schleuf. But that kick from Ben Sockhole wasn't that terrific. It just didn't have. It had just the required amount of airtime to allow Schleuf to take the mark, and no chance for interception by South Australia.
We talked about the mid-season rookie draft briefly. You just wonder if there's a few players out here who are going to use this as a showcase, and I think
there are.
We've already seen Ben Sockhole and Michael Bennell, who are, I think, on the radar for AFL clubs.
DeLuca.
And Josh DeLuca, who's been busy. But those two forwards are already showing what they're made of, and I think you rate state games higher than normal games, don't you, because of the quality of the players out there.
There's plenty of quality here at the moment. Now, the restart, there's been a shepherding in that contest, so it's going to go the way of South Australia. About 5 minutes left in this quarter. Noel, the recipient, he is a big man, feeds the hand pass off, long raking kick from the centre of the ground up towards half forward, coming down to Menzel. Was he taken high? The umpire says no. Chance now for Hender, and he looked as though he was taken high initially as well. The umpire letting it go. A lot of players around the footy at the moment, right on the 50, about left half forward. There'll be a ball up for South Australia. Delahunty under no pressure. South Australia need to do better than that. Got the kick away to the grass on our broadcast side of the ground. Noel picks the ball up, sends it back from whence it came, almost straight down there to Tony Knott, who couldn't take the mark. The whistle's gone, and there's a high tackle here going the way of the Crow Eaters. And again, guys, he's very slight indeed, very quick, but he's been good in this quarter. And I'm speaking of this man, Anthony Wilson.
Yes, one of those players who was a late inclusion when Panos and Grigg and et al. Went out.
Played 85 games for Norwood, so he's been around a bit.
And he's had a very good start to this game.
They certainly did put an emphasis, the South Australian selectors, on speed. Josh Carr, the coach, made no secret of that. Now, in trying to get the distance, he's really hooked the ball pretty badly and missed by a fair margin, so the minor score only for South Australia, but still right in this match. Can they sneak one before quarter time? That'll be what they're aiming to do. So not with the kicking in duties. One of your old teammates, Tal.
Yep, and has still got a fantastic right peg on him as well.
There's Bailey Rogers. Gee, that was a good pass to hit up Horsley. The nearest three players to Horsley were all South Australians, and it found him right on the chest. Horsley's had a good first quarter. Look at the delivery, right on the line to Schloith. South Australian opponent fell over, so Schloith, unencumbered by any would-be tackler, has found Blair Bell. This is great play by Western Australia, pinpointing their passes. Here goes one more up towards Delahunty, gets to the back of him. Kane Mitchell throws it onto his right boot, and I think that's hit the post.
Has hit the post, and that kick inside 50, there was about 4 or 5 different WA options there. Obviously, the one that went a little bit longer, but South Australia really got to fine-tune their defence in the last couple of minutes of this first quarter.
Could have done a bit better too, WA, as you said.
Yep.
They outnumbered them in the 50.
Noel couldn't hold on to that one. Here's a chance now for Noble. Got it to Snelling, under the weight of a tackle, back to Noble. Here they go again. Pearce ends up with it. Now the Pearce kick up towards the left half forward flank. It was a good one too. Taken down there on the chest by Jordan Foote, and he goes in towards full forward. Taken by South Australia's Beach. Gets the hand pass off, and that's good footy by South Australia. Well, they've gone end to end. Dom Barry has kicked another one. Now, I think that's Dom Barry's second goal. Yep. Indeed it is. There he is. Well, that's Menzel there, but the way West Australia worked the ball down the outer side of the ground, they probably deserved a goal. They didn't finish up with one, and South Australia have hurt them going back the other way, and that was a good second goal by John O'Beach.
The Crow Eaters definitely giving the WA boys a taste of their own medicine of just moving the ball nice and quickly, kicking the ball long, not dilly-dallying around with it, in the middle of the ground and just kicking to their long, tall targets. So, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a shootout, boys. So some exciting footy coming in the next 3 quarters.
Well, WA coach Mike Broadbridge said during the week to his team that 14 or 15 goals will probably win it. Well, I think at this rate, 14 or 15 goals is going to leave you a fair way short.
Absolutely.
We're back in the middle with 2 minutes to go. Good effort there to get it down by Noel to Tropiano. Good set of clearance by South Australia. Lockie's in the way, though, for Western Australia. Kicked under pressure, but found Aaron Black. Got it off then well to Ramsey. Ramsey directed pretty well to Hampson there. He was off balance as he kicked, but did well enough to get it to Bell, who's marked maybe just too far out to score. He's marked about 55 out. Goes with a low, hard pass. Wow. It was a bit too sharp for Sockole even. Now South Australia with a chance. Through Rose and Sutcliffe, and another one close to the boundary line. Hender got it on to Noble. Is there time for one more for South Australia? Yep. Long hand pass. Here they go again. Taken there by Foote. Long searching kick. Well, Menzel's one-on-one down there with Litherland. Litherland does well, and the ball eludes both of them. And
a great job by Menzel there, just getting the ball out of bounds for the WA boys to reset. Hopefully, they'll be able to rebound here nice and strongly with only just 60 seconds on the clock. I think everyone needs a bit of a breather at quarter time. It's been a pretty backwards and forwards game.
Yeah, and warm out there when in the sun at least. Boundary throw. Maybe South Australia the only team that can score. It comes down to the front of the pack. Kane Stevens got a hand pass to Tropiano. Went through, maybe taken high. Was able to get a hand pass then to Hayes, who threw the ball into his left boot. No score. It's gone over the line on the full, so that might be the end of it if WA can control the footy for the next 30 seconds.
And that's going to be the call from the leaders out there. Let's slow the game down. Let's get to quarter time and regroup and reassess moving into the second quarter.
Litherland to Kennedy, teammates for Subiaco. And Kennedy looking for Delahunty. Couldn't take the mark. Good pressure down there from South Australia. Right in the shadows of quarter time. Hender forced over the line and out of bounds with the footy in hand.
Litherland's been important a couple of times, hasn't he? His closing speed makes him a very tough one-on-one player to combat.
So there is the silence just as the ball is thrown back into play. So quarter time here at Optus Stadium in the Kia State match between Western Australia and South Australia. It's a close one. West Australia getting off to a bit of a fly there, 4-4-28, but South Australia came hard in the latter part of that quarter, 4-1-25. So just a 3-point margin to Western Australia at quarter time. And very quickly before we go to a break, we'll have a look at the goal scorers for Western Australia. Hayden Schleuth has one. Gerald Ugle, the first of the match. Michael Burnell had a great quarter with one, also, and Ben Sockhole. So 4 single goal scorers for Western Australia. For South Australia, Dom Barry has kicked 2. Jonathan Beach with 1, and Justin Hoskin. So, boys, we will come back with the thoughts of you, John, and Callan in just a moment. On the other side of this break, let's get some words from our sponsors and come back with a quarter-time wrap.
Kia prides itself on the highest quality and design, and it's these qualities that made the Stinger WA's Car of the Year, as voted by the motoring experts at the West Australian. Outside, it's a sleek Gran Turismo. Inside, it's a premium luxury sedan. And under the bonnet, a powerful twin-turbo V6. I'm on the winning team at Kia, and now, with the Kia Stinger winning WA's Car of the Year, isn't it time you joined us?
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
There's a high ball.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her, just maybe for a while. You're the lady in a hurdling. Well, if you that day.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First, a network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
Welcome back to Optus Stadium, where West Australia leading South Australia by 3 points in the state match. It's a bit warmer here at Optus Stadium than it was at the Antarctic, where those Penguins were a moment ago, John. But first quarter, WA got off to a bit of a flyer. South Australia pegged them back, but you've got some of the key stats in that first term.
And the stats tell the story about the two different game styles. WA 82 possessions, 51 kicks, 31 handballs, but South Australia 99, so they've had a bit more of the ball, but 45 kicks and 54 handballs. So their run and carry has been very prominent, and you've made note of that several times from the halfway point of that quarter when they really started to run the ball hard into their forward 50. And we see that as a result of that, South Australia have had 10 inside 50s to 13 for WA, most of which came early in the quarter. Hit-outs are pretty even, 12-9 WA's way, so Galt v Noel. Galt slightly edging him, I reckon. But the scoring accuracy, which is a bit of a tell, WA 4 from 8 shots at goal, South Australia 4 from 5 shots at goal, and their greater efficiency and their ability to run and carry the ball in the midfield is the thing that's challenging Western Australia.
You see in the replay there, Talanone's Anthony Wilson just kicking there. Not a great kick, but he's really been a bit of a live wire for South Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 5 touches, but those 5 touches have been really critical, and they've also been the running carry, which John's been discussing as well. So definitely one to for Michael Broadbridge, head coach of WA, to keep an eye on. Obviously, some other high disposal getters for the Crow Eaters. Kane Stephen with 12, Dominic Barry with 8 and a couple of goals. So he's looking very strong up forward, and we'll see how he continues the game at the other end of the ground. And for the Black Ducks, Cole Halsey with 7, Corey Gold very prominent in the first portion of that quarter with 6, and Aaron Black again only 5 touches, but again getting around those stoppages and ensuring that the ball goes in WA's direction.
We see the half-backs, I mean, Bailey Rogers, Michael Sinclair, Litherland, they're quite prolific players at WAFL level, aren't they? They get a lot of the footy. Rogers 1 touch, Sinclair 2, Litherland 2. Tony Knight hasn't touched it, well, he's touched it, but he hasn't had a possession. So a lot of the players that normally set up for their club sides are out of the game, and I guess that's a result of South Australia pushing hard into 50 and then the ball coming out again. But the ball's not spending a lot of time down there in South Australia's scoring zone, but when they do come in, they're surging forward and making the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And on the other side of the ground as well, Blair Bell has had maybe 3 or 4 inside 50s and one spearing one that came, I think, to Sokol that got him by surprise as well. So, we'll see how he plays the rest of the game. Now, he might swing down back as well, but Blair Bell having a fantastic effort in WA's forward line.
Michael Bennell had some real highlights in that first quarter. We saw it in replay there, the goal he kicked, but the confidence of a man. He's not a young man, he's 25 years of age, but actually taking a bounce just as he was about to be tackled. I mean, the sort of confidence that you've got to, or confidence and ability that you need to have just to do that sort of thing. But yeah, he's a player who has got such potential and a long way to go in this game, and I expect him to be involved a lot more.
I think he had to actually take a bounce, because if he had one more step,
yes,
Phil, I reckon the umpires would have pinged him.
Yeah, but he never looked as though he thought he was going to be caught. He had enough speed and enough just to shake the tackle if in fact there was one applied. Second quarter about to get underway. Galt and Noel opposed to each other, both good players for their respective teams in the first quarter. So the umpire pounding the ball into the turf. Favours Galt, who got a hand to it. But belatedly the umpire says, "Don't give it back to me." He wasn't happy with it, nor should he be. Conditions aren't too bad for bouncing the footy, are they, John?
No. Tropiano v Bolton, 3 Sandover medals between them. It's a good matchup.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. The umpire throws it up, so Galt left a little early. Noel put a fist into it. Here's a chance for Foot. Hand pass was knocked down there brilliantly there by Kennedy, who now gives chase. Good hip and shoulder. Well done, Kennedy.
Great follow-up.
Yeah, got the hand pass out. Not terribly effective. DeLuca was in there. Now he applies a tackle, and the umpire has a good look at this one. The ball underneath the South Australian player, but he gives him the benefit of the doubt. Right on the centre square, outer side of the ground. Noel this time leapt early. On the way down, he won the tap. This is Bolton trying to get a hand pass away. And again, players diving on the footy. West Australian Lee Kitchen there wrestling with it, but it's a bit stodgy through the first 30 seconds of this quarter.
I reckon both coaches have just told each of their charges to ensure that we don't have any breakouts, because it was a very ferocious first 5 minutes from both ends of the ground in the first quarter.
Gold brilliantly palms it down to DeLuca, kicks it up towards full forward. Now South Australia under a bit of pressure here. Bennell lurking, dangerous. South Australia just forcing the ball to the open, but Schleuth waiting for it, throws it onto his right boot. Look at the snapshot there by Hayden Schleuth. First blood within a minute and a half in this second quarter. Hayden Schleuth, one of the Sandover medalists we've been talking about, he's having something to say in this match as well. And Schleuth draws first blood in the second quarter, kicks his second for the match. John.
And playing well, isn't he? I just thought that the ball came in there long. There's no one behind the pack. The ball was carrying, so there's a bit of breeze. The flags aren't moving that much, but the flags are about 80 metres off the ground. So what's happening at ground level may be significantly different to what's happening at flag level. But the ball carried, and then Schleuth, his class, just came to the fore, and 2 goals now. It's kicked their last 2. He's a very dangerous player. He's played primarily in the forward line today, and he may well stay there with this form.
Sends the Black Swans out to a 9-point lead again. It was Galt, got it down to DeLuca. DeLuca to the half forward, and again it's Schleuth who swoops on the footy, kicks low and hard, and look at the hands there of Sokol. Great reflexes, no fumble, just clunk, and Sokol is marked well within range. He's really only 30 metres out and directly in front, and shouldn't have any problem with this.
Brilliant skills from Hayden Schleuth again. He's the most skilled player in the WAFL, I think, and he's putting on a clinic today.
And again, Galt's very prominent in the middle for WA's clearance. He goes straight down the middle.
He's really set up the last 2, hasn't he?
Sure has.
Getting it down to DeLuca, and the second of them may result in yet another goal. Schleuth a moment ago. Sokol, who knows this ground with experience in a grand final last year, it makes absolutely no mistake. So he has now kicked his second goal of the match, and the opening 3 minutes of this second quarter couldn't be worse for Josh Carr and his match committee tell, because 2 goals, and all of a sudden West Australia have got some breathing space.
Yeah, look, it wouldn't be surprising if there's a Croater that's going to wear Hayden Schloss like a glove over the next 5 minutes just to calm that effect down. But yeah, I dare say there'll be a few papers rustling in the South Australians coaches box.
I can hear them from here, but they worked so hard to get themselves back into that match in the latter part of that first quarter, and now that good work just been slightly undone. But as you say, it's been Gold who's been giving WA the drive in the ruck.
Yeah, Matt Rose now on him. He started on... No, he stayed on him. He's gone back and forth a bit. There's been rotations down there, so no changes yet on Sloyth.
Noel wins this one. Comes out there to Noble. He got the hand pass from Petrenko. Petrenko's kick up towards the full forward line. Bit of a fumble. Litherland falling hand pass. Kitchen was in there, dispossessed. Here's DeLuca. Did well to get the hand pass to Bolton. Clever kick into the path of his, he's out. Mitchell. He goes with a short pass to Bell, who's right up high on the half-forward flank. In fact, more up on centre wing out of sight of Optus Stadium. Goes with the ball in towards the pocket. Bennell being led to the footy on that occasion, but it didn't matter. He still got it. Got the hand pass to Sokol. This time he's too far out to score. Goes up towards full forward. Schloith was there, couldn't take the mark. From the knees, South Australia getting the hand pass away. Proud with a hurried kick. And Hoskin has run onto the ball and taken the mark on his chest. They weathered the storm pretty well there, South Australia, and now a good pass and a good mark, a fighting mark taken down there by Petrenko.
Yeah, they're under the pump, South Australia.
Petrenko, that was a risky kick. Looking there for Tropiano. Bolton had no trouble punching the ball away from him. Bell plenty of time. Got the hand pass to Ramsey. High ball up towards centre half forward. Bennell was the target. Juggles the mark. Doesn't matter. Plays on anyway. Kicks up towards full forward. And he's put it through.
And a swarm of black and gold around that failed kick in the middle by Petrenko obviously has resulted in a WA goal, and fantastic skills there by Bennell. Caught behind, pushed himself at the front, a bit of razzle-dazzle and a kick off one step for what is now his...
Second goal.
Third
shot, so he's having an impact. He was out of position, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
He was hopelessly out of position, but then made it look easy. And that's the sort of thing you can do. You talk about some paper rustling, Tal. I reckon there's going to be some paper rustling amongst the talent scouts here this afternoon as well, because they'll be shuffling the papers to find out where Michael Bennell has been, what he's doing. He's 25. He's got the makings of a class player at the next level, in my view.
He averages 4 kicks a game at WAFL level, but 2.5 goals a game, so he's pretty efficient.
Well, he's had more than 4 already. Snelling for South Australia floats one up to the left half forward flank. Sinclair over the top, couldn't take the mark. Clearing kick, almost. Got it out of the danger area for Western Australia, but Pearce is there for South Australia to Wilson. Good pick up there to Hender. Hender's kick half blocked. In went Lockyer. Put his teammate not under a lot of pressure, so much so that he just threw it onto his left boot. And the errant kick has landed right onto the chest of this South Australian player in Troy Foote. He's directly in front, and really, South Australia need this one.
Maybe a bit of talk by the WA defenders, instead of pushing that ball through the guts, maybe towards the boundary. Something that my Swan Districts mates always told me, but didn't really get used to doing that, and that's gone through for a major score for the Croaters.
Straight over the goal umpire's hat, so a good result. Certainly South Australia put the pressure on. Foote has got his first, and the first for South Australia in this second quarter, not before time, with Western Australia getting the first 3, but 7-4-46 Western Australia, South Australia 5-1-31.
The second quarter following the pattern of the first quarter very strongly, wasn't it? WA off to a very quick start in both quarters with scores on the board. South Australia settling and then responding pretty rapidly. And that was just pressure, wasn't it? Putting pressure on Tony Knott. The errant kick came out and hit the loose player 30 out directly in front.
Troy Foote has averaged 27 disposals so far in this season in the SANFL. Now a good tackle. Well, no, it was a high tackle applied by Noel. He's arguing the toss with the umpire, but the free is going the way of Nelson. Goes slightly backwards and right out wide to find Mitchell. To Bolton. Used to linking up in club footy with Claremont, and Bolton, that's a poor kick to Ramsey, put him under a lot of pressure. He flicks a hand pass back to Bolton. This time the hand pass was much better to Kitchen. Nice bounce there for George Hampson, who missed the target. It was meant to go there to Nelson, but straight past him.
A little bit sloppy. They've been pretty crisp so far, the Black Swans.
Can't blame the conditions, the surface, and the weather here in Perth today. Absolutely outstanding. And the stadium will fill up as we get closer to the Fremantle Dockers Richmond clash this afternoon. Bolton, diving hand pass. Mitchell soccers it off the ground pretty much to Nelson. That's hard to do. He kicked the ball over his head into about row 9. Unfortunately, there are some spectators there. Early Richmond supporters getting to the ground, and so that ball will be thrown back from row 9. A free kick going the way there of Daniel Pearce, no stranger to this ground. That was a good pass to Sutcliffe. Also played here with the Fremantle Dockers before. That was a poor pass over the top of the intended target. Here's Schluith, settled himself to DeLuca. He's inside 50, and that one he did not strike well and has missed it and gone through from behind.
I'm not sure if that was a pass or a shot at goal or a combination of both.
It was a bit of both, I reckon.
But I think we've got the Crowies now playing on the southern side of the ground, and here's our Anthony Wilson, who's got the ball in hand again, driving down the wing for the Crowies to a great hit.
Yeah, got it from Pearce, and that was a good diving mark by Noel. Continuing down the boundary line, look, that's just low percentage footy. I mean, he needed to kick that ball into the corridor, and that's just gifting the ball back to Western Australia. It's a big wide ground. In these conditions, they shouldn't be kicking the ball over the line and out of bounds on the full. Tony Knott with the free. Goes up the wing. Noel there. In front of him is Gold, who got a hand to it. Chance now for South Australia again. Looking for Noble. The ball got past him, but not so Kitchen. To Bolton. Short pass again to Galt.
Free WA boys everywhere, streaming forward here.
Black is one of them. Mitchell's another. Delahunty another one over the top to Blair Bell. He's just outside 50. Drills the ball in towards the goal square. Brilliant pass. Not the first today either by Blair Bell. And he has hit up Michael Burnell in the goal square. He'll go back and surely kick his third goal.
And Blair Bell's been fantastic in WA's forward line. As you can see here, most marks from WA. He's either kicking it inside 50 or kicking it to the dangerous parts of the WA forward line. And no other fantastic result with this kick here with Burnell to now kick his third goal, kicking 3 goals, 1 at this point in time. WA move 8 goals, 553 to South Australia, 5 goals, 131.
It's been a pretty devastating 10.5 minutes by Western Australia in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's the 22-point lead is now their biggest for the game. So just starting to get that little bit of a stretch. They've probably played the better footy for longer, haven't they? But just haven't been able to put South Australia away, who've rallied in each quarter. And now the challenge is well and truly on the Crow Eaters to rally now, or the game may slip away from
have you
them.
got Michael Burnell's stats there?
Let's bring them up.
Yeah, 6 kicks, 3 goals, 1. So he's
beating
ahead of average.
He's beating his club average with half a dozen kicks already. Here's a chance for the tackler on that occasion. It was Dom Barry. I thought it might have been a bit high. The umpire balls it up. There's Noel. Pretty imposing figure. Horsley. No real clearance there. Here's a chance for Barry once more. Got the hand pass. Out wide to Ormond. Surely that was a mark to Beach. Play onto the call. Chance now for Petrenko. Long hand pass. And that wasn't even a look away hand pass. It just missed the target. Horsley kick wasn't great either. Here's Beach, falling hand pass. Petrenko trying to get into the action. Knocks the ball clear, but only as far as Horsley on his wrong side. Kick half blanketed. Through comes Ormond again. Gives it straight back to Horsley. He won't miss the target again. This time the target is Bolton, who marks strongly. Plays on quickly. Ahead of the play is Delahunty. Lays it off to Blair Bell. Let's look at his foot skills. Not great on this occasion. Set a bit of a task down there for George Hampson, who's under the weight of the Joe Haynes tackle. And the umpire has a close look at it. He'll ball it up right close to the boundary line in the right full forward pocket.
He might have been better off going the longer target.
Yeah, I
then
think
he went
would have been on that occasion.
Short drill, didn't he? And Bennell was sitting in the goal square again.
Galton Noel, the backhanded tap. Got it down there to Curran from one step, a high kick. A pack of 2 just collapsed under the weight of each other, and the free kicks would go the way of Menzel. What do you think of the blue boots, Tal?
Yeah, something that obviously I would have been learning about.
I could have seen you in those.
I would have get something fluoro, but obviously here come the Crowies dashing through the middle.
Yeah, Armin gave it to Noble.
And
Noble
great hit.
steadies. That was a really good hit-up pass by Noble, who's been pretty busy, and he's been able to find Jack Hayes. He's a rangy type, and, he feeds the hand pass off to Ormond. Ormond with a run at it now. Kick blanketed, ricochets into the pocket. The idea was there. The execution was poor as Litherland has gone out winded and found not. Grubbers the ball along to Delahunty, who's outnumbered. So this hasn't come off. Hayes paddles it for Noble. Noble gets it then to Pierce, who Pierce goes into the pocket. WA have got the numbers down here in this contest. Kitchen to
WA's
Horsley.
defence has been fantastic. Rebound footy, led by Tony Knott down there, and we've got another surge forward here with Jorm Hampson taking grab on the forward 50.
Yeah, good combination there from Bell and DeLuca as well. Hampson trying to catch South Australia out with their numbers, going for Bennell. On this occasion, he's just not up to it. Noel knocked the ball forward, only as far as Horsley. He's just got an insatiable appetite for the footy. DeLuca's hand pass not great. In fact, it was Ugle, and he nearly got a second chance, but it was a push in the back against Blair Bell, and I think it's going to be Ormond for South Australia with the free.
They're all over him, WA, aren't they? But they're
Yep.
just not quite poised enough to take advantage of it. It's frenetic and rushing the ball forward because they're so dominant. They just need to calm down and slow it down a fraction, and they might start to get real big scores on the
Here's
board.
the pressure again as Hampson got it after applying good pressure. Knowles in there using his weight and his body. Curran hand pass to Barry. Back to Noble. Noble steadies. Goes close to the boundary line. I think that's gone over the line on the full again.
Sure has.
Well, he's kicked it into the West Australian interchange area. They were queuing up there to take the kick. And Black has it. Been a bit quieter in this term after a prolific first term. So Sinclair on the point of the centre square, about left half back. Out wide to DeLuca. Slid on his hands and knees. Now gets the hand pass to Horsley, who's always there to lend support across his body. That wasn't his best effort. It's been marked by Menzel. That's a great kick.
WA just have to take that simple option there. Either the switch kick out to Tony, but not the best of kicks coming back into the corridor, and we see the ball roll over the boundary line in the Crow Eaters forward 50.
Well, Dom Barry on that occasion wasn't under a lot of pressure, but look how wide he's gone. Could have gone so much more direct. He's a good kick. That really kicked it to a 2-on-2. Needed to go more towards the goal square, apply some pressure on Western Australia. Nelson, falling hand pass to Black, to Kitchen, Kennedy, Delahunty, on to DeLuca. Now they've opened up South Australia here, Western Australia. Bell is quite often on the end of these. Uses the ball pretty well as a rule. Hampson from behind couldn't take the mark. Jack Stevens, the captain, got a hand pass away. Now they're out of trouble with Dom Barry again over the top of Pierce. Not had it. Gave it to Nelson, to Delahunty. It wasn't clean, but they've got the numbers still. Kitchen not combining. Kitchen again to Nelson. Nelson out to Kennedy, and Kennedy's close to the boundary line on the wing, just behind it. Goes short, and speaking of short, it's Snelling who takes the mark. Gives it back to Stevens. That's good footy. Here they go now. Hayes got the hand pass away. South Australia have a free man in Menzel. He's inside attacking 50. Could have played on, then slipped, put himself under pressure, kicks with the left boot, and that's a great effort there by Menzel. Well, they got West Australia there on the rebound, but a badly needed goal coming up at the nearly 17-minute mark of this second quarter. And Menzel, who's loomed and been dangerous on occasions, has been rewarded with his first goal of the afternoon.
Both teams there caught on the overlap,
We've
both
got
in
no
going
vision on our
in
monitor.
both directions. But, with a very poor disposal from both sides of the fence, we've seen the Crow Eaters put their sixth goal through.
Yeah, both sides turning it over badly, aren't they? We're seeing, Delahunty's gone onto the ball for the last 5 minutes or so, goaled off the ground, and WA going with a much smaller forward line with Bennell staying out of the goal square, but they haven't really been able to find that target 50 from goal. And it's been turned over 3 times in the last few minutes now, and that one cost them a goal.
Menzel's had 2 4-goal hauls in the SANFL so far this season as play back underway in the middle of the ground. Chasing here is Bolton. Noble pursuing him. Noble does well. Good contest by Noble. He's played well. Gets the hand pass to Menzel, who just scored the last goal. There goes the centering kick. Been able to find Hender onto the left boot. Hender has spotted up a teammate as well. And all of a sudden, South Australia seem to have found a little bit of rhythm. getting some loose players, and Dom Barry has found himself loose on a few occasions.
He's kicked two
He
already.
has kicked 2 first-quarter goals. He knows how to get the ball onto his boot really well, and he's pretty much directly in front. He'll only have to kick from about 42 or 43 metres.
And it was about this time in the first quarter as well, boys, that WA were a little bit wayward. It's just a matter of just getting back to square one and having a one-on-one opportunity as the ball gets rebounded here by WA after a short kick.
Yeah, the kick, he just didn't strike it well. It was a bit of a helicopter in the end. So chance now for South Australia. Still, Foot kept it in play with a hand pass. Kennedy couldn't get it onto his boot. Good pressure as Snelling kicks the ball across his body toward full forward. Now South Australia have got some numbers here. Foot's back into the action again. From his hands and knees, not. Managed to get it to Kennedy. Hurried kick. Got past Bolton. Bit of a foot race for the footy now as Ugle got there first, but over around the footy. Sutcliffe for South Australia. Gets the hand pass off to Rose. Rose now to Tropiano up towards full forward. Could have gone the longer option, but there's high contact, I think, against Lockyer. He's the one shaking his head the most. And so the free kick is going to go the way of Beach, who stood up in the first quarter on a few one-on-one occasions. He's kicked 1 goal and really needs to slot this one for South Australia. And again, as you say, Tal, they seem to time their run at the same time in each quarter. It's like deja vu. But they've got the upper hand at the moment. Bit of momentum, South Australia.
Yeah, if it happens as the same as the first quarter, we're looking forward to a bit of a shootout over the last 7 minutes of play, where this ball goes gun barrel straight through the big sticks for the Crow Eaters. Next goal, 7 goals, so 7-1, 43. They trail WA 8-5, 53.
He's a big lad, isn't he, John Beach? And as you say, Tal, he's now kicked 2 goals, and he's a bit of a target down there for them and providing a handful for Lockyer, I think, who's been on him for most of the time.
WA just getting together down in the back line to discuss that particular matchup and resetting. With 7 minutes left on the clock, important that WA continue their surge forward and making sure that there's no goals going over the heads of their defenders.
Yeah, very experienced player, John Beach, isn't he? 180 games in the SANFL, played a couple at Adelaide as well. And
averages 8 marks a match. He took 14 marks in round 4 and kicked 4 goals. He's also had 2 4-goal hauls in this season as Galt won it down brilliantly to DeLuca. They're pairing magnificently. The ball's socked forward, back towards Galt, who met it. Put his head down, came up with the footy. Well done by Corey Galt. Hand pass there to Kitchen. Kitchen kicks WA inside attacking 50. Here's South Australia rebounding again. Tropiano's hand pass was blanketed. On his knees there was Sleuth. Hayes for South Australia, but beating him to it was DeLuca, who got it to Galt. The high floater, setting a hard task to mark the footy, but Chris Curran did really well.
That's a great grab by Curran.
Yeah, just on his chest in the end, but kept his eyes on the footy, knew what he was doing. And the short pass to Rose, the co-vice-captains for South Australia. Beautifully weighted kick to Wilson. Wilson takes off, gives it to Foot. Now, Foot on the right boot, goes up towards half forward. That's a disappointing result, looking for Hender, but Litherland in the way takes the saving mark.
Just a quick turn of the head by Litherland to get in the right position there. Was going to run back, but fantastic intercept mark there. And Kane Mitchell now has the ball on the broadcast side of the fence and has a quick chip to Shane Nelson.
Nelson getting amongst the disposals again, so too this man DeLuca is one who we know has nominated for the mid-season draft. I think around the country, did I read, John, something like 400 or 500 players have nominated?
307, I think.
307 have nominated. So off the hands of the pack. Chance now for Tropiano. Got it from Allman. Now Tropiano under no pressure. This is not a good sign for Western Australia. Tropiano needs to use it and use it well. He does. Gives it to Barry, who's a class player. Kicks it to the fat side.
That's a great
kick. Vision, execution as that man Beach again. He's an imposing figure. A bit of a mismatch there because Kennedy standing the mark. He certainly is not the man that would have been manning up on Beach because of the mismatch in size. But again, he's almost in the same position, Tal, as he was a moment ago, and really should convert again for South Australia.
Yeah, and the ball's in the South Australian forward line solely because there was no WA representation at that stoppage down on the wing. Corey Galt hands on the ball, put it directly in front. Crow Eaters was all red and yellow with George Hampson a couple of steps behind. This shot goes through the big sticks, and again, it's another shootout with South Australia parking another goal on the scoreboard.
He's got 3 goals now, Beach. He's providing a target down there. You can see the body strength and the height that he possesses. He's a real headache for Western Australia. Well, they trailed by 3 points at quarter time. They've got it back now to a 4-point margin deep in this second quarter.
4 goals each, and Dom Barry's hurting them, isn't he? He's kicked a couple, but he's leading
He's
possession.
a good mover, isn't he?
Yeah, leading possession winner on the ground with 17 so far, and 5 marks. So he's finding a lot of the footy forward of centre, and a very creative player, and that was a absolutely exquisite kick on his left foot, 45-metre pass to the man on by himself.
And Beach gets it onto his boot really well. He's got an uncomplicated kicking style. So 4 minutes to go in this quarter. This is an important centre clearance. Looks as though it might go the way of South Australia. In goes Barry again. Putting his head down there was Hender courageously. Couldn't get possession. Came out almost there for Sinclair. Well done, though, by Noble. Supported by Tropiano. Hand pass to Knoll. From his knees, he tried to ferret it out there to Noble. Sinclair has it. Wrapped up in a tackle. Managed to get it to his boot. In fact, got it to Bolton. Don't know if we'll class it as a kick, however. Here's a chance now for foot once more. Onto his right boot. Great tackle down there. Also by Western Australia, but picking it up was Hender. The tackler down there was Ramsey. Bit of a push, a bit of a shove. Beach went flying. The umpire says play on. Kick went down towards Black. Picking it up close to the boundary line. Now, is that Ben Sinclair again? He got the hand pass from Ramsey.
Sinclair then.
Yeah.
And Noel one kick behind, letting his forward line do everything in the ruck. And looks like he'll be putting it into the hot spot, Noel.
Yeah, he positioned himself really well, cleverly. That didn't come off the boot all that well, but South Australia have got the front position. Numbers at ground level are pretty evenly distributed, with the boundary line too close, so there will be a boundary throw-in on the right half forward flank for South Australia. Time ticking away, just a minute and a half or 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to go. Important stoppage. Noel, getting past him was Delahunty. Bolton took the crumbs. Black to Nelson. Feints with the hand pass, then from a step. Kicks it up towards a 2-on-2 contest on the wing. Reading it beautifully off hands there was Ugle. That was really class. The kick not so good. Taken by Rose. Got it to Haynes. Haynes wheels around and kicks it into a nest of sandgropers.
Blair Bell with another fantastic touch as well. He'll drive WA into the forward 50 for the closing parts of the second quarter, but no, decides to chip closely to DeLuca.
7 marks, Blair Bell. He's as we said at the start of the game, he's very strong in the air.
Yeah.
So WA just slowing the play down here to wind the clock down to half time by the looks of things.
Lockyer's kick was a little bit short for Delahunty, but he slid onto his knees and took the mark. Hand pass to Kennedy, really nowhere to go, so he hand passes to Bolton. Bolton out wide to the left half forward flank and finds close to the boundary line Black. Aaron Black, participant in 5 winning state matches, goes short and Sokol marks the ball low down. One thinks he's a little bit too far out to score. Kicking a bit from home, Western Australia. He kicks it up towards the goal square. No mark taken. DeLuca with the crumbs. Gets the hand pass out to Hampson. He goes to ground. Ugle picks it up. Tries to shrug a tackle. Back to Hampson. He was dispossessed. Chance for Menzel to Pearce. Now South Australia out of trouble. He's gone for the spiral torpedo punt, Daniel Pearce. It's a beauty too. Up towards the right half forward flank. Sinclair just caught behind but got a kind bounce. Hand pass goes to Ramsey. To Lockyer. Had it caught at his feet. Got the kick away. A bit of a floater. And it goes back into a nest of crow eaters, if that's the collective noun for crow eaters.
There's been a turnover down here.
Okay, well, it was marked by Tropiano, but off the ball, DeLuca gets a free kick and just
turned over again.
Return to the favour, back to Menzel. Well, 30 seconds left to go.
And another one.
I don't want to say it, boys, but I think the boys are looking forward to half-time here. WA drive into the forward 50.
And there's that man again, Michael Knoll.
Former basketball. He's only played footy for about 3 years, but he's reading the play really well, isn't he?
He certainly is. The kick just cleared the pack. Bolton keeps it in play. Have they got time for a score? Good squaring pass to Kennedy. They haven't, as Kennedy kicks into the middle of the ground. And that is half-time in the Kia State match for 2019 between Western Australia and South Australia. And it's been very warm conditions out there in that first half, an entertaining first half of football indeed, but the players having a well-earned break because pretty exhausted. Some turnovers in the final couple of minutes there as we see Anthony Wilson coming from the field being one of the better players for South Australia. We'll get a half-time wrap, of course, from Talon Ames and John Townsend coming up. But first of all, the goal scorers in that first half. 3 to Michael Bennell. What a display of football he's put on as a small or mid-range forward in the first half. Hayden Schleith has 2 also to Ben Sokol and 1 to Gerald Ugle. He kicked the first goal of the match for South Australia. 3 goals to Jonathan Beach, 2 of them in that term. 2 also to Dom Barry. He kicked both of his in the first quarter. 1 to Justin Hoskin and 1 also to Jordan Foote and Troy Menzel. So Western Australia, entertaining first quarter. They led by 3 points at quarter time, and at the long break they lead by 4 points. And we're going to get you guys to just keep some of your powder dry because we come back for a full half-time report after we take this break and hear some words from our sponsors.
There's a high ball.
Okay.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're lately in a hurdle. Well, if you that day.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well.
Yeah.
At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
No problems with that at all. Tackle and chase.
Kia prides itself on the highest quality and design, and it's these qualities that made the Stinger WA's Car of the Year, as voted by the motoring experts at the West Australian. Outside, it's a sleek Gran Turismo. Inside, it's a premium luxury sedan. And under the bonnet, a powerful twin-turbo V6. I'm on the winning team at Kia, and now, with the Kia Stinger winning WA's Car of the Year, isn't it time you joined us?
Half-time at Optus Stadium, and Western Australia lead a really entertaining match for the first half by 4 points after leading by 3 points at quarter time. And in the early part of that second quarter, boys, Western Australia just applying all of the pressure and kicked a very quick 3 goals.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what Michael Broadbridge really has to give information to his charges. So it's not all about playing half a quarter of football. We've really got to make sure that we keep the pressure on and play to team structures for the whole quarter because the South Australian boys definitely got in and amongst the stoppages and the forward play and definitely pegged back the loss of lead and they obviously only trailed by 4 points at half time.
And there's Michael Bennell. He's kicked 3 goals in that second quarter. He kicked 2 of them, but it was all, John, in that first half of the quarter, as we're seeing in the highlights, it was all Western Australia. But then what was it? South Australia just found their mojo. Somewhere you can see Foote putting through a goal for them then, and all of a sudden just Western Australia's game became riddled with some errors.
Yeah, they certainly didn't make the most of their forward entries, as we've seen a few players like Horsley, Bolton, Ugle, Shane Nelson. They're prolific ball winners in the WAFL and probably all had quiet first quarters, but came to the fore in that second quarter But you just wonder, they get a lot of the footy, but the team doesn't necessarily go forward as quickly as it could do when they are getting it. And we certainly saw the ball go inside 50 a few times, but then rebound quickly and South Australia go end to end. And they certainly look dangerous on the rebound. I think WA have still played probably the better footy for longer, but if you don't finish off, you leave yourself vulnerable. And as we see, one of the best passages of the day, that kick down to Bennell in the goal square. Great ball movement from WA, but they probably haven't done enough of that precise, sharp, long ball movement.
Doesn't get much more casual than that. The mark and goal there from Michael Burnell, but he has certainly provided a number of the highlights. But then in the second half of that quarter, well, we talked about it, how the both teams making a lot of errors in the very latter part of that quarter because they were tied. But South Australia started to play some really good footy, and we continually became impressed with Foot. Barry, Tropiano was still in there. Wilson, of course, kept on bobbing up, and that man there, Noble, who on that occasion kicked it out of bounds on the full, but he's been able to find plenty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry down in the forward line, leads disposals with 17, and the Crow Eaters definitely taking a leaf out of WA's book by long, direct football, using the ball by foot, using it long, and ensuring that their tall timber in the forward line are first at the footy.
Troy Menzel on that occasion kicking the goal nearly messed it up because he slipped, but managed to regain his footing and then put it through. See number 2 there, Wilson, and here is Foot again. He's a clever player, but in the latter part of the quarter we saw a lot of mistakes being made with Snelling on that occasion kicking the ball up toward the forward pocket. Western Australia were really under some pressure at this point with that hurried blind kick from Kennedy, but this man Beach mentioned it on a few occasions. I don't know if he looks absolutely super fit, but I'll tell you what he does do. He knows how to kick a goal. He's got I think I mentioned earlier, he's got an uncomplicated kicking style. He's big and he's strong, and he's South Australia's leading goal kicker with 3.
He knows his game, and look, he might have an extra bit of ice cream occasionally, but if you know how to play, what's wrong with that?
So Curran there taking a saving mark. He's a steadying influence for them down there.
Barry's the one who's kept them alive, hasn't he? His dynamism in the forward line and his precise kicking, and 17 possessions as well. So he's had a lot of the footy finished off really well, but created a couple of other goals. So he's been a very dangerous player. Hayden Kennedy's his direct marksman, and Kennedy's getting a lot of the footy himself, but maybe there just needs to be a greater focus on stopping Barry rather than rebounding itself.
A lot of the play was played in. I think the players were intentionally bringing the ball over this side of the ground so they could play in the shade for the last 5 or 10 minutes of that quarter because it was pretty hot out there. We see George Hampson hasn't had really much of it. And,
5 touches so far.
Just the 5, and a lot of them have been under pressure.
Only 2 kicks, so the lowest number of kicks in the team for George. He's a mercurial player, though, isn't he? And if he can get 2 or 3 in front of goals,
so what is it, the promo
kick a couple.
For the Fremantle-Richmond game? So there is a brilliant view of Optus Stadium. As I've mentioned, the stadium will be filling up a little bit later on, but the stage has certainly been ideal for a terrific state match as we have a look at some of the lead up to this big match.
Captaining the state is it's right at the top for personal accolades, and I think when you're playing the game, you don't really reflect on what you've achieved while you're actually in the moment. But yeah, it's something I'm extremely humbled by and honoured to have captained this great state.
To get an opportunity to represent your state on one occasion, let alone multiple occasions, is pretty special, and we've had a really good run. I think we're going for 7 straight or something like that, so I think that's pretty special.
It's about leaving a legacy, individually, collectively. To do that requires immense effort, immense concentration.
My role as WA state coach came about in late 2016. I was very keen to do it. The lure of coaching a team to the first victory in Victoria ever was a huge bit of bait for me to do it. There's no reward financially in doing the role. It was purely out of interest for me and my, I suppose, love of the game, love of coaching, and also Western Australia.
Deep in the time on in the opening term. Well-weighted kick in, finds the skipper Kyle Horsley.
My most memorable experience as a state team player was the 2017 game against Victoria. I think, the first time to beat them on their home soil.
It's taken 113 years 24 attempts, but finally Western Australia have beaten Victoria in a state game in Victoria.
To get that result and obviously really comfortable win in the end was, a memory that I'll never forget.
There's a lot of hype building up around that game. To come away with a win there, it's going to be something that's spoken about for a long, long time.
Originally being a Victorian, it was good to get back and beat some of my mates who I played with. So it was a really good experience where we all came together. It was a great celebration for the state and for the league afterwards, and something I'll never forget.
WA, stand tall, take a bow. You are victorious at the Adelaide Oval, and deservedly so.
This game represents an opportunity for a number of players to put their hand up to say that I've got the skills and the capability to play at a higher level. One of the key elements about gelling the group in the early stages is making sure that I understand what motivates each individual and getting around to each of them to make sure that they're buying into the process. So you've got to make sure every training session counts, every interaction with the playing group leads to that one moment when they run out together as a team and have to represent the state.
Yeah, couldn't be more excited to play at Optus Stadium. I think it's easily the best stadium in my eyes in Australia, if not the world. So any opportunity you get to play there is, it's one you're never going to pass up. It's an incredible facility, something the state's really proud of, and hopefully we can represent the state well and get the win against South Australia on what is now the home of football in WA.
For a lot of players, you don't get that opportunity to play on grounds like that anymore. So, I'll be excited, as well as the group will be excited to go out there, and hopefully there's a good showing before the Freo Richmond game, and we can put in a good show.
Playing in front of your family and friends on the new stadium is an opportunity which they will relish and cherish for the rest of their life. Having great sponsors like Kia and Optus for the WA Footy Commission and the WAFL State program is just such a huge bonus. Obviously, funds at all levels of sport are a challenge unless you're right at the top, and being a domestic comp, sponsors are so valuable, and we couldn't be more thankful to have two great brands like Kia and Optus supporting us.
So some of the highlights there from the WAFL, and we saw Hayden Schleith and Michael Bennell featuring in those highlights. A magnificent goal there for Bennell playing for Perth. He came into this match with good goal-kicking form. Schleith with a best-on-ground performance, and tally that mark from Archie for West Coast, probably the mark of the season so far. But a lot of great highlights in what's been a pretty enterprising start to the WAFL season, with Perth surprisingly undefeated on top of the ladder with Subiaco, who haven't been beaten, I think, now for about 28 matches.
Yeah, and the boys out at Mineral Resources Park will be up and about at this time of the season, as we see the South Australian boys make their way onto the park for what will be a pretty exciting third quarter of football. But yeah, it's been a fantastic Optus WAFL Premiership season today. Some really close matches, some deciding wins with, some, as I said, some pretty surprising results. And we look forward to obviously having all of our teams up and running for what will be a fantastic round 6, and hopefully no injuries out of our WA boys, so all respective players can be fully fit for the next round of the WAFL season.
So, Talon, the umpires and South Australia are out on the field as we have a look at some of the goals in the first half. Look at this one from Vinola. Just love this one.
And this is the one where he definitely had to have that bounce before he had a kick of that ball, and he's been a live wire out on the park with the Freo recruiters definitely shaking their pages around.
And John Beach, that was the first of his 3 goals. He really came to the fore in the second quarter when he kicked 2, but a long-range shot there. And Ben Sokol, who's been dangerous, as we mentioned, plays a bit taller than he actually is, but he's pretty enterprising in that first half, kicking 2, and this was a really intelligent goal there also by Justin Hosking for South Australia.
Yeah, going back to Sokol as well, I think his first shot at goal was a behind, but fantastic recovery and still playing very confident in the forward line, making sure that he's out in front and taking some grabs to the WA boys that are having some pretty nice delivery in the forward line.
And there was Patricios just coming into the picture there for South Australia, and the long kick up towards full forward. And once again, the strength of Beach and Barry, who we have sung his accolades on a few occasions, and well, we might too, Tal, because he's got a lot of talent and a lot of pace.
Yeah, absolutely, and being a devastating effect for the Crowies at the front there. A bit of scrappy play here, as we see here, but Sloithy just ripping one around on the right peg. His class definitely, knowing where the goals are, playing for South Fremantle, he's very devastating like that.
Sando Millis, he's got all the skills, and that man there's got a lot of tricks as well. And coming in and kicking this goal here for South Australia, Jordan Foote. I've been pretty impressed with him.
Yeah, he's been great, getting around the contest as well, and definitely capping off his hard work to half-time with a goal there.
And this one here where you see Menzel
almost slips.
Wanted to play on. Litherland was gaining on him, but he had the composure to gather his feet, get his balance again, and that was a good goal by Troy Menzel. And there was one of the last goals of that first half where Beach goes back and slotted through his third. He has been the most influential, there it is again, the most influential forward on the ground for South Australia. So Western Australia now out on the ground going through their preliminaries. Up at the river end of the ground, at the city end of the ground, South Australia are going through their warm-up routine as well. We are not too far away from a start in this second half, so John Townsend will be back to join us shortly. Along with Talon Ames, we'll have a look at how our expert commentators think that this second half may pan out. Just 4 points separating the two sides at the long break. Let's have a short break and then get back to here to Optus Stadium for the start of the second half.
Kia prides itself on the highest quality and design, and it's these qualities that made the Stinger WA's Car of the Year, as voted by the motoring experts at the West Australian. Outside, it's a sleek Gran Turismo. Inside, it's a premium luxury sedan. And under the bonnet, a powerful twin-turbo V6. I'm on the winning team at Kia, and now, with the Kia Stinger winning WA's Car of the Year, isn't it time you joined us?
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
A new WAFL era is here. It's local football in your suburb. A great day out for the whole family. Kids get in for free, so come down and support your team. Plus, you can have a kick-to-kick on the ground after every quarter. West Coast are in and WAFL W kicks off. It's the biggest ever WAFL season.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well. At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
Third quarter of the state match just getting underway, and South Australia getting the quick clearance as Tropiano gets his kick up towards centre half 40. He was tripped in the act of kicking. Now, South Australia need to reverse the trend of the first two quarters when Western Australia clearly got the early jump on them in both quarters and opened up a bit of a lead, requiring South Australia to try and peg them back, which they did successfully in both quarters. Now they're going forward first, South Australia, as Bailey Rogers under pressure, couldn't get a hand pass away. Bolton does to Knott, a high Knott kick close to the boundary line. Allman fell over in the act of trying to mark. Now he's discarded by Mitchell, who gathers the footy, goes to Delahunty, lays it off there to Kitchen, back to Mitchell. This hand pass puts Bell under a bit of pressure, protected the ball really well and gave it to Kitchen. Now to Mitchell, who's run on strongly. He'll be doing that all day. Across his body, looking for Burnell. Why wouldn't you? He's kicked 3 goals. Getting back was Noel, who got it to Jack Stevens, the skipper, then to Noble. A short pass knocked down by Delahunty. Picking it up was Delahunty again after getting it from Horsley. A good tackle applied there by Burnell, and the umpire had a good close look at it. The ball will be balled up.
A great flurry of disposals there from Kane Mitchell. Just showed his poise and obviously his experience at AFL ranks. And the ball maybe should have gone a little bit more direct into the WA's forward line, but it is still there with Burnell having a great opportunity and draws the free kick for his another shot on goal.
Well, his man is very conscious of him, wasn't he? He may have almost picked up a free kick in that previous passage where he was being held away from the ball, but this time, ball on the ground, and he's dangerous. He's so quick over a couple of metres. Not necessarily, he's not going to win too many 100-metre races, but he might win a few 5-metre races. And
what's he like with his set shots, John?
He's a brilliant kick. He's got great depth in his kicking. His long one so far hasn't been great, but let's see.
So will first blood be drawn by Western Australia again, as it has been in the previous 2 quarters? This time he's just pushed it slightly across the face for the minor score only. So South Australia immediately on the back foot. As I mentioned, they need to try and reverse this trend as the kick comes out from goal, taken there by Noel, who's been good in the ruck. Lays the hand pass off. Good tackle applied there by Western Australia. Will be rewarded. And
Sloth with the free kick.
Yeah, brilliant. Squaring ball to Kitchen now. The tackle came from behind him. No 50 metres there. South Australia given the benefit of the doubt. And Kitchen, one of the star midfielders for Subiaco.
Just his second kick today. Had a lot of the footy, but all handball.
All by hand. Delahunty ends up with the footy. Don't know if he really wanted it on that occasion. He was surrounded as Curran got a quick hand pass away. Blind kick. Didn't Trevor? Yes, it did. I thought I heard the umpire call play on. It certainly wasn't the officiating umpire because DeLuca has been paid the mark and he's 35 metres out from goal. A little bit right of centre, but with the left footer and his level of skill, he should be able to slot this one through for, again, Western Australia getting the opening goal of a quarter.
And they've definitely started red hot again, WA. And with DeLuca pegging this one through, South Australia on the back foot. It's a bit of a tumble punt, but whatever it takes to get through. DeLuca hits the scoreboard for his first goal and extends the lead out to 9 points for WA.
So again, that first score, it's just a worrying trend for South Australia, John, because you find yourself playing catch-up footy all the time. That takes more out of your legs. But Western Australia have just found a way to get early goals in each of the terms so far.
Yeah, they're just high intensity, isn't it? There's numbers at the footy. They're getting the ball out. They're managing to clear it. Their efficiency's been the one thing, I guess, so far in the game that's cost them and hasn't allowed them to really dominate on the scoreboard as they have done on the ground. But, yes, this quarter has started like the previous two, with WA making a strong start, and we've seen South Australia peg them back twice. Can they keep doing it?
They need to do it again. Noel gets first hands to it. Snelling had his head down over the foot. He couldn't pick it up. Horsley does so to Bolton. He's been using it very short today, Jai Bolton, but usually finding his target. This time it's Galt. He goes to Hampson, Swan District's teammates, to Kennedy, but a good mark taken over the top of Delahunty there, almost casually by Proud.
Delahunty needs to do a lot better there, bring the ball to ground. He'd had WA boys right in front that could have transferred that ball deep into WA's forward line. So, great contest there by the South Australian.
Pearce to Barry, speaking of short. Gets it on again, back to Pearce. Here's Dom Barry giving them some real bite down the woods, down the centre wing. Off hands Lockyer. In a tackle, the hand pass not good. Allows Hoskin in. He throws it onto the right boot. Going back there is Sinclair. He's got a couple to beat. Hand passes into the pocket. Horsley's there to support him. Well done, the skipper. Shows great poise and great delivery too to find DeLuca on the left half forward flank out of sight in the sun. Shea getting across a lot of the ground now, but that's really the trademark of Ben Sockhold, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's deep in Western Australia's backline, but wherever he is in front of the ball, that vice grip is fantastic. He just kicks a bit wide to Blair Bell. We've got a throw in just forward of the centre mark for WA.
So it'll be Noel getting to the stoppage. Galt certainly conceding. What would he be conceding? Probably 3 or 4 centimetres, I reckon, on Noel. He's really a big man. Neither of them get a hand to it, but Galt gets a hand pass away in the end. Kitchen had it and then lost it. Galt just retreats from the action cleverly. Hand pass to DeLuca. His hand pass was knocked down. And his Menzel again is forced over the line for a throw-in. Good pressure applied by Horsley and Kennedy. So pretty much in the same spot. Another boundary throw-in. On the warm side of the ground, we're calling it. Bright sunshine. Conditions are going to be ideal for the rest of this match as Galt takes it. Didn't kick it very far, but it ended up with Schleuth. Hand pass to Hampson. His hand pass not great. Chance now for Sutcliffe. Here's this man Barry again. Likes to get it and bounce. Runs and bounces. Takes 3. Gives it off to Pearce. They should goal here. Pearce lines them up. Hooks it badly. He wasn't under a lot of pressure and should have done a lot better.
Seen that happen a few times for Fremantle and Peel, haven't we? Daniel Pearce. Great running player, but the finish sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired.
Not plenty of distance with that kick. Here's a chance for Snelling to Tropiano. And kicking forward there was Noble. Picking the ball up down there was Beach. Strong, but strong in the tackle also, or applying the tackle was Tony Knott, and he did well to halve that situation and force a ball up alongside the goal square in the right pocket.
Again, WA boys really need to get to the front and centre of the contest. That long drive kick by Tony Knott straight down the guts is fantastic, but is rendered useless if there's no front and centres from WA.
Hayes in the ruck, then his second effort was good, but his hand pass went straight to Knott. He couldn't find Kennedy. Well, he eventually did on the second attempt. Hand pass to Bolton. He goes clearing. How will the umpire adjudicate this? It's gone over the line on the first bounce, and the umpire says throw it in.
Let's just get it out of there,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Yep.
A little bit indiscriminate. They've got numbers at the ball, WA, haven't they? They're pushing more back into their...
They had a lot around that stoppage just a moment ago. Clearly outnumbered South Australia as Galt goes up in the ruck. Comes down to Tropiano. Hand pass to Sutcliffe. Buffeted, but got the hand pass then to Pearce. Pearce fainted with the hand pass. Got himself clear. Goes with a short pass. Finds a teammate down there.
In Kane Stevens.
Who just faded a bit out of the action in that second quarter, I thought.
He'd had 14 to half time, okay. but got a lot of those very early in the game.
In the first quarter especially. Now, he thinks he's within range here. Going to have to kick it from 50 plus, you would think. Conditions ideal. Kicking to the eastern end of the ground. Is he going to get the journey? He is all right, and that's a
fantastic kick.
Pretty good kick out there from Kane Stevens. Went back, backed himself. He showed a lot of confidence, and that was a really good kick over a long range and a good goal by South Australia. They just keep on keeping on. West Australia can't shake them, and the Sandgropers 9 goals 660, leading South Australia 9-2-56, the margin 4 points as it was at half-time.
Yeah, WA got it out to 14 in the first quarter and 22 in the second, but it's back to 4. So the trend has continued, hasn't it? Can South Australia continue to do it, or does something has to change in the game to enable them to really get ahead? WA have been extending the lead and then being drawn back. We haven't seen South Australia in front at any stage in the game so far.
I think Joshy Carr's charges have definitely, withstood the heat from WA's starts for every quarter. So, if they can continue their strong form at the start of the quarter and obviously maintain that through the quarters, they might have a bit more opportunity.
Gold's got first possession, hand pass to Nelson. He kicks Western Australia up forward, looking there for Blair Bell. Good defensive work. Although Stevens, that's Jack Stevens, he overran the footy, allows Bennell in. You don't want to do that inside 50. He gets his hands on it again, Bennell. Hand passes out to Jurgel. Was he taken high? The umpire says play on. Did he have prior opportunity? All these questions, no answers. Just the ball up.
I reckon there'll be a bit of chat by both teams for the boys in lime green there. But ball up nonetheless, and DeLuca underneath it.
Delahunty tried to get it down to a teammate, but good. See South Australia getting their numbers back around the footy now, deep in WA's attacking zone.
It's intriguing. That's Ryan Shelton, the umpire. He was in reserves 2 years ago, and he's now umpiring state footy. So he's found something that he hadn't had only 2 years ago, I guess.
So Bolton tried to get the kick through traffic. That was almost impossible. Noble got it out then to Tropiano, cross his body. Hayes fell over, allowed Lockyer in for Western Australia, floats it up into the pocket. Bell there, gee, he'd be frustrated with that. He's got a bad bounce, it got past him, and there'll be a throw in about 25 metres around from WA's left-hand behind post, kicking to the city end of the ground in this third quarter now. Just over 10 minutes gone. Again, it's been very tight, hasn't it?
Just wonder how will Noel go with this workload. He's rucked pretty much single-handedly all game on a very warm day in Perth today.
Yeah, occasionally Hayes has gone in there to just relieve him, but the workload's been extraordinary. Delahunty doing the ruck work for WA when it goes forward, especially inside attacking 50. Barry there, Bennell, Pierce got the hand pass away. Away they go now. Well done, Foot. Just took on the tacklers and got past them as though he was cutting through warm butter. The kick intercepted, though, by Tony Knott. Really good one-on-one player, Tony Knott overhead especially. Now, that kick was risky, was it ever? Menzel got a fist into it. Here's Wilson. He is quick. Burns off one. Draws another. Hand pass to Menzel. This will be a goal as Menzel runs in with those blazing red boots and kicks another one for South Australia. They've got consecutive goals. And you know what else they've got?
The lead. There it is, Johnny Townsend.
The first time in the game, and poor kick from Tony Knott. I mean, one of the real trademarks of his game is he's such a steady, stable character, isn't he? In the back line, doesn't make errors, has to get beaten to give the ball up, and that was a poor decision there to kick a cross goal into the corridor, and the ball went the other way, and again South Australia's pace made them pay.
They seem to keep the forward line. They look really good, Tally, when they keep their forward line open, because it gives those players like Wilson and Menzel, who are really quick, throw Barry in as well. When they set opportunities up like that, it's hard to stop them from scoring.
Yep, couldn't have said it better, Phil.
That's the key to South Australia, I think. But now they have got the lead.
Menzel's second goal.
Yeah, for the first time in this match. Will they be headed? They're playing well in this third quarter. Noel gives them the start again. The ball tracked there by Nelson. Hand pass not good. Falling over there. Western Australia allowed them in. Noel got the hand pass from Barry to Pierce. Pierce kicks it into open space at centre half forward. Out came Hayes. Here's a chance for them again as Hoskin got it out to Hender, and Hender on the left boot. How's that for a goal? They've got 3 on the trot, South Australia. And all of a sudden, Western Australia, 12 and a half minutes into this third quarter, are right on the back foot. They're under pressure, and the confidence levels for South Australia really growing. Love that passage of play. And it's going to give South Australia even more confidence going forward.
Setting clearance is going to be super important for the remainder of this game, boys. Obviously, centre clearances are going to enable the ball to get deep into each respective team's forward lines, and WA haven't started like they have in the first couple of quarters.
Well, I think, without the stats in front of me, I think Western Australia have been doing pretty well with the centre clearances, but all of a sudden, Noel, well, I was going to say he's growing the league, he doesn't need to grow anymore, but he's really having an influence out there, and South Australia's just started to get first hands on it a bit. So WA really need the next goal. Caught underneath at Delahunty. Noel over the top of him. Tried to soccer the ball forward. Delahunty still in the contest. One thinks this will be a repeat ball up. Ryan Shelton calls for the footy. Noel pushing, shoving. Got a hand to it. Now, the umpire not officiating has seen a holding the man decision, so it's going to go the way of Kitchen. So Lee Kitchen, good lead from Black. It goes to right half forward. Nice pass too as Black draws the player, gives it to his partner in crime in Nelson. Helicopter kick makes it difficult for Bennell. The ball bounces there for Sutcliffe. He gives it off to Pearce in the end, whose hand pass goes out wide, and I think South Australia, under pressure there, were happy for the boundary line. Curran had 3 or 4 West Australian players bearing down on him and was pretty happy to see the ball go over.
Defenders from South Australia, fantastic one-on-one. You know, the ball coming in from Black. Black had no one to kick to. So, definitely a ramp-up of intensity and defence from South Australia.
Noel gets the clearing kick from that stoppage, but the blind kick lands in the arms of Litherland, right in the centre of Optus Oval. He goes straight down the middle of the ground toward full forward. No mark taking. Ugel's hand pass, bit agricultural. Proud takes it away for South Australia to Almond I should say. Then to Noble. Comes down to Foot, like the game he's playing. Pearce is coming into his own. That's a terrible looking kick, but he got it to Snelling. The hand pass risky to Sutcliffe. He was dispossessed. Now Nelson flicks it out the back door to Bell. His hand pass intercepted by Barry. That's a beauty to Hender. Now Hender kicked the last goal. Look at the vision. Execution not so good. Going after it now is Patricius. He runs into a tackle from Litherland, gives up the footy rather meekly in the end. And this is Black, who goes very, very short to Mitchell, and Western Australia out of trouble.
It's been all South Australia's last 5 minutes, and WA really have to get back to holding possession of the football, as we see here, and ensuring that they force the game to play their way.
Black to DeLuca to Ugle. Litherland was down behind the play, seems to be up and about now. Mitchell, how hard does he run to get on the end of every pass? Multiple possessions, often he gets in passages of play, and there again he goes short to Schleut.
Only 13 touches for Kane Mitchell. He's a workhorse and averages in the 30 in the WAFL this season.
Kick to a big pack, and going back in that pack, taking a good strong mark, is Proud for South Australia. Short pass was risky.
Done a good job on Bennell in the last 20 or 30 minutes, Max Proud.
Fortunately, Hayes was up to the task in that marking duel, and he goes short and finds Noble. Got a couple of options at centre half back. One of them is the skipper. Always go to the skipper when in doubt. Did you find that when you were captaining the Swan Districts, Tal?
Yeah, every now and then.
They go backwards to give you the footy.
It's hard when you're playing in the goal square, though, isn't it?
Playing the full back.
Back in the cage.
Calling for the footy. Pearce has found Foot. Foot really giving them some bite. So too Pearce. He'll keep running. Foot. That's a helicopter pass. I think they need to check the inflation of the footy. Here's a chance from Snelling. Beach sitting on the ground, gets the hand pass off to Noel. His kick blanketed. Here's one to win. Courage shown there by Barry. Was he held without the footy? Mitchell prevailed in the end. His kick doesn't travel the required distance, I don't think, or does it? The umpire's called play on. Hayes only just hurt him in the nick of time. Then with a little bit of a wobbler, let's say it was intended. It went past Hender, but right onto the ample chest of Jono Beach. And he's marked 30 metres out directly in front, and, the form of the day will indicate that he'll kick this. He's got 3 already, 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and this one couldn't be simpler, could it?
Yeah, lining up for his 4th, fantastic target, and, it just goes to show that if you are playing in front, you're going to get the ball right on your chest, and, WA really got to pull their socks up to ensure a one-on-one game of football, because it's going to race away from them very quickly in this third.
They lead by 8 points now, South Australia. As Beach goes back, he just does not make mistakes. He's got a terrific kicking action. The thing about it is, Tal, he doesn't try and kick it too hard. He knows his range. He knows he gets it onto his boot really well, and the combination of all of that has meant that he's kicked now 4 goals and sent South Australia to a 14-point lead, 17 and a half minutes gone, third quarter.
And they have kicked the last 4 and are stretching WA, aren't they? We've spoken about that several times. WA dominating the game at the first half, but not able to get that, translating that onto the scoreboard. And South Australia have been able to peg them back in the first 2 quarters. They've done it in the third, and they've stepped away. Now the challenge is for WA to do what South Australia have done 3 times and come back. Can they do it?
Can they do it? That is the question at the moment. Good effort by Hayes in the middle of the ground. He's relieving Noel in the ruck at the moment, opposed to Delahunty, and there's the stacks on the mill. So this clearance really important. WA, as the players are getting tired, need the next goal. They need to stay in touch. It's not a big lead, but it's an important one as DeLuca feeds a hand pass cleverly to Kennedy. He kicks straight down towards centre half forward. Coming out with confidence there, but not taking the mark was Proud. And now there'll be a ball up 45 metres out from WA's goal.
They need someone to stand up, WA, don't they? South Australia have had Daniel Pearce and John Beach, particularly in the last quarter and a half. WA need to find someone to match that.
Here's a ball to be won as Proud puts his head down, goes to his knees, got the hand pass to Sutcliffe. That was a good tackle. He dispossessed Sutcliffe. Here's a chance though for Tropiano. Well played to Foot. He continues to get his hands and his foot to the ball, and diving mark taken by Sinclair. Very capable player. Good to see Michael Sinclair getting a go at state level. He's been around for quite some time and been an outstanding WAFL player. In good form again this season. Goes up towards full forward. Snelling couldn't get it to his boot. Delahunty can. Pretty much goes up and down, but again the confidence growing for South Australia. They're getting into the right place at the right time, and Noble's taken the mark. He's been very good. To Haynes. He's been solid as well. That kick an absolute shocker. Ended up with Horsley. Horsley gets the left boot onto it. He does not often make mistakes like that, Kyle Horsley. Under very little pressure, he's kicked that ball over the line and out of bounds for a throw-in.
We saw in the game last year at about this time, he kicked a goal on the run to late in the third quarter to really set Subiaco apart. As
he can do that.
Led the way from the front. WA need him to do that.
I sure do, as Proud gets a clearing kick, got a bit of a bend on it, but all that did was to direct the ball onto the chest of Aaron Black. Wilson was the target.
WA need to really move in this forward line here. It's very stagnant.
Oh,
but looks like Black's just picked it out.
Well, he
Cole
just kicked
Horsley,
it to the spot, didn't he?
He just did. Kick to the hot spot. Cole Horsley, with his all of experience, just gets himself to the hot spots and. About 30 metres directly in front. Hopefully can steady the ship for WA.
As you said, Tel, there was no real target there for Black's kick, but Horsley, being the smart player he is, just knew where to be and ended up taking an uncontested chest mark. That would not endear his players to Josh Carr. And Horsley goes back, and again he's done it. John Townsend just had that premonition a moment ago. Horsley, the skipper, has that happy knack of lifting his team. He's gone back and slotted that one through. His first goal, the nearly 21-minute mark of this third quarter. And they have got it back to 8 points. South Australia 12 goals too. That's great kicking for the Crow Eaters this afternoon. Western Australia 10-6, so an 8-point margin as we are 21 minutes now into this third quarter.
Well, WA needed someone to lift, and their captain Cole Horsley has done it numerous times for Subiaco over the years. He's the one who you'd back to do it again, and just found the right spot, didn't he? So wasn't a lot of science in it, but got in front, as South Australia have managed to do a few times this quarter, kicked the goal, and now I wouldn't be surprised if Cole Horsley really lifts his rating in the next few minutes.
Gold won the tap, but a sharp by Tropiano. He hand passes to Horsley, now to DeLuca. Here goes WA forward again. DeLuca up toward full forward. Ugle flew, couldn't take the mark. Proud had it, he was slung to the ground. Sutcliffe's hand pass was pretty good. Got it to Stevens, that's Jack Stevens. Then to Rose, captain to vice captain. And a good pass on then also to Kane Stevens. Now that was a bit late by George Hampson. Noble doesn't like the treatment that his skipper Jack Stevens got, and this could be 50.
Yeah, by the looks of things, obviously had no control after his feet left the ground. Definitely a bit late. Nothing reportable here from my perspective anyway. But I reckon the 50 metres is well deserved.
Jack Stevens getting a bit of treatment there. You can see this is Kane Stevens who gives it off to Jack Stevens. And you're right, Tal. I mean, Litherland was airborne, wasn't he? He was actually reported for a similar incident to that one playing for Subiaco against Swan Districts last week. But anyway, look, all eyes on Jack Stevens. He's too far out to score, but let's see what he can do. He goes right up toward full forward. Too many WA players flew. Waiting down, though, is DeLuca. Hand pass not good. Beach gets some support. Comes down now to, is that Hender who's thrown into his boot? Well, just keeping my eyes on either Hender or Hoskin has thrown that. I think it's Hoskin who has kicked that goal. Just made something out of nothing, but I think WA might have erred. Tal, you would know in situations like that there were too many WA players flying for the footy and not so many at ground level when they needed them, and that man played it really well. Justin Hoskins kicked his second goal.
Yeah, look, with it slightly unravelling for the Black Swans, communication is going to be an integral part of getting at least through to the third quarter with just under 4 minutes to go in this third quarter. So the leaders on the ground across all three lines really have to knuckle down, lock it down. But forward playing movement where WA have really excelled in the first half of every quarter needs to be back on. And with who's in the middle there with. Kitchen really getting the boys amped up for this next set of bounce.
Kitchen, Horsley, DeLuca, the Subiaco trio.
It's not a bad line-up there as Noel knocks the ball forward. Horsley's there, the only one that didn't overrun the footy. Slides to the ground. His hand pass Then goes to Hender. That wasn't intended. Tropiano got it at close quarters out there to Wilson, who ends up with the footy. He goes out wide. And it's been marked by Hender. He's too far out to score. I think.
From just on 50 years.
Yeah, well, maybe
he's got
not.
one. He'll back himself in with this
beat.
being this late in the third.
A bit of a Josh Kennedy approach there as he comes in. I'm not too sure it is Hender, by the way. We'll just wait and see. And he's kicked the goal. So South Australia really applying the blowtorch to Western Australia in this third quarter.
And the lead out to 20 points, the largest for South Australia.
Yeah, by a long way. As I'm not too sure I've got that player 100% right. I've still got him in my eye sights. There it is, in foot. It was foot in actual fact to kick that goal. So he's now got 2. He's been a very influential player. He's got a lot of tricks, hasn't he? And the thing I like about him, when he gets the footy, not just when he's within range, he uses it extremely well.
Good sized player, big body, can withhold tackles and release the footy to his teammates, which is obviously very important.
So Noel wins the tap. Horsley again though gets the clearing kick. Doesn't quite clear the centre square. Bolton overran it. Here's a chance for Snelling. He was dispossessed and put to the ground. Ugle with a hand pass. Got it to DeLuca, who gives it to Nelson, and Nelson blazes away. Well, goal kicking on the run is not his strong suit, Shane Nelson, and that was a bit of a disappointing miss.
Yeah, from only 25 metres out. Yes, they needed the goal.
So puts the hands back into the ball, rather back into the hands of South Australia. Another helicopter kick.
Yeah, the boys from South Australia really struggling to release the ball in this pocket.
George Hampson, that was a good clearing kick. Curran on that, I beg your pardon, Proud couldn't take the mark. The ball flicked back towards Bennell. He's got his head down over the footy. South Australia with the numbers there, and they've done adequately enough to force a ball up.
Hasn't had a touch this quarter, Michael Bennell.
Well, he must go long periods of playing the WAFL without getting them, because you're saying he only averages, 5 or 6 disposals a game?
Yeah, 4 kicks and 6 touches a game.
So Noel in ruck and then applying a bit of body pressure as well. So look at the numbers around the footy. South Australia really bottling up West Australia's forward line.
Last chance for any score attempt with George Hampson's kick being smothered. The ball heads back over the line for another boundary throw-in with 30 seconds for this third term.
Yeah, Kane Stevens, good tackle, good smother there on that occasion, sort of using his experience. So Western Australia is still the most likely team to score with what's left. Got down by Noel. Here's Kane Stevens again. He was dispossessed. Noel got his hands on the footy. The kick not marked by Sinclair. It goes through to Galt. Galt with a hand pass to Litherland from right on the edge of the centre square. Goes long at the back of the pack. It's been marked by Sokol. No, it's not. Yes, it has. Well, I reckon it was touched. The South Australian players know it was. But Sokol has been paid the mark. Why is it that we all know, and all the South Australian players know, that it was touched and yet the mark has been paid?
Yeah, I think with the bobbling of Sokol's mark, yeah, of course it can lead to a bit of ill definition of the mark, but we see Sokol after the third quarter siren lining up to go for his third.
This will hurt South Australia. Sokol's gone back. He really
and has missed it.
Has missed that. Well, I mean, a lot of our friends in joining us through the SANFL website and Facebook page will think that that's justice. I'm sure that the players out there do, but Ben Sokol, that is a disappointing miss at an imperative time that he go back and show composure. It means that South Australia, with a quarter to play, lead 14 goals to 86 to Western Australia's 10-8-68. The margin is 18 points, and that's a pretty handy lead with a quarter to go. Let's just go through the goal scorers. First of all, for South Australia, 4 to Jonathan Beach, 2 each to Jordan Foote and Troy Menzel, along with Justin Hoskin, and singles to Hender, Kane Stevens, and I think that's it. I didn't mention Don Barry. He's also got a couple. For Western Australia, it was a bit of a drought in that quarter. Michael Bennell didn't add to his tally, but he has 3 goals, 2 to Hayden Schleith and Ben Sokol, singles to DeLuca, Horsley and Ugle. We'll come back with the thoughts of Talon Ames and John Townsend in just a moment. An important final quarter, a very interesting one indeed coming up, but we'll hear some words from our sponsors and then come back for the all-important final quarter.
Kia prides itself on the highest quality and design, and it's these qualities that made the Stinger WA's Car of the Year, as voted by the motoring experts at the West Australian. Outside, it's a sleek Gran Turismo. Inside, it's a premium luxury sedan. And under the bonnet, a powerful twin-turbo V6. I'm on the winning team at Kia, and now, with the Kia Stinger winning WA's Car of the Year, isn't it time you joined us?
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
There's a high ball.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're in a well, if you that day.
Nature knows it's better to be part of a group than out on your own. To be surrounded by others whose sole purpose is to keep you safe and well.
Inexplicable.
At Bupa, we call it Members First. A network of thousands of healthcare providers, all there for you. Search Bupa Members First.
Looking at some of the highlights of the third quarter, but what a third quarter it was by South Australia. They turned a 4-point half-time deficit into an 18-point lead at the final break, as we see Michael Bennell coming in and kicking one of his 3 goals for this afternoon. But there was a lot of upside for Western Australia early in the game. There's Michael Knoll, a giant in more ways than one, because his workload's been quite superb as well today, John Townsend and Talanoes.
He's been a critical player. He's worn down Corey Galt and Loch Delahunty, hasn't he? And he's just we started to see in that third quarter, the centre clearance is starting to go South Australia's way very clearly. They were coming out. And we know with the 666, there's a lot of room between the 50 and the centre circles, aren't there? And if you can get clean takeaways from the centre bounce, you really set up to score. And we saw that in that burst for about 5 minutes, midway through that quarter, when South Australia kicked 4 goals to go from being 10 points behind to 14 points in front. It only took them 5 minutes or so. And they've just really stretched WA. And this is a new challenge for WA. They haven't been behind very often, if at all, in their streak of 6 consecutive state wins. They've been the front runners throughout, and they've had to defend. They've defended against Victoria, they've defended against South Australia last year. This is the first time where they have to make up a substantial deficit to win a state game. So there'll be a real imperative for their senior players, Horsley, Kitchen, Bolton, those big Kane Mitchell, Sandover medalists, premiership players, AFL players. The challenge for them is to really lift in this quarter, and we see, no surprise perhaps, that Horsley, Schloith, who's their most skilled player, and Bolton have gone into the middle. They really need to make something happen very early.
So there's Menzel running into an open goal and kicking one for South Australia in that third quarter. The combination of he and Wilson on that occasion resulting in that goal, and helped get them to an 18-point lead, which is where they sit right at the moment. So a quarter to go. Players getting tired. 18 points would seem a rather big margin at the moment, and Ben Sokol missing that goal after the siren would be looking for somewhere to hide, because that was a bad miss. You don't get second chances. So the game is on the line. The 2019 Kia State match between Western Australia and South Australia underway. As again, Horsley getting the centre clearance, a really telling one. And look at it, hit Sokol right on the chest. And this is just the opportunity he needs to redeem himself. I'll bet he's really glad he's got this opportunity. He needs to go back for his own confidence and also for Western Australia to slot this one.
Yeah, spot on, and great start for the WA with that clearance. Kyle Horsley, with his experience and skill and just taking it, one step at a time to lace out Sokol is great. So we see him line up for, hopefully, will be his third.
He's got 2 goals too. He comes in, sends it on its way. He makes no mistake about that one. Significantly more difficult, that opportunity, than the one that he missed right on the siren. A set shot from straight in front in the third quarter, but he gets his third, and the margin within a minute is trimmed back to 12 points.
Well, rapid footy, wasn't it? 11 seconds into the quarter and the ball's on his chest and 40 metres out. And so he's finished off well. That's his third goal, as you said, Phil. 3 goals to Ben Sokol. And he would have been smarting after missing that. I don't think anyone needed to say anything to him. You just know yourself what a bad blue that was. And he's redeemed himself to some degree. 2 goals in it. It's certainly game on.
Long way to go. So it is Noel continuing in the ruck opposed to Galt. Both of them will sleep well tonight, and Galt did pretty well to get a hand to it. Ends up with Snelling, however. Now, the free kick's going to go the way of Schleuf.
That's pretty handy for WA. Didn't see much in that.
Yeah, South Australia were on their way. So Schleuf, the hand pass to Bolton, straight down towards centre half forward. Good mark taken by Stevens.
Knott's gone forward for WA.
Short pass. Well, the pass went straight. A bit of a floater, but nicely marked by Noel. So Noel, rather unorthodox kicking style, doesn't really get onto that one too well, close to the boundary line, but a bit of a push and a shove, and
it's a great grab by Petrenko.
Petrenko has taken that mark, just getting Kennedy outmanoeuvred, kicks to a bit of space at full forward, coming out to meet it and overrunning it there was Sinclair. Here's a chance for Litherland, dribbles the ball along the ground, only as far as Petrenko. He got it out to Hender, a short pass, ever so short to Snelling. He snaps on goal, and there's the equaliser. Or at least the one that offsets the previous goal at the other end of the ground. So well done, that young man there in Will Snelling. His first goal for the afternoon, but coming up at the 2.5-minute mark of the final quarter, just restores that lead of 18 points for South Australia.
Their goal kicking's been uncanny, hasn't it? 15 goals too. They've
remarkable.
Missed a couple of set shots, so their loose play has been outstanding, and they've been dangerous, haven't they? And they've found players to bob up and have an impact in the game. Snelling been relatively quiet, hasn't had a dominant game. 4 kicks and 12 handballs, and but bobbed up at the right time, and that answers Sokol's goal. We talked about Tony Knott went forward. That was one of the contingencies for WA, to put Knott forward if they needed someone to mark close to goal.
Tropiano didn't make good contact with the hand pass, so it allowed Galt in. A real high floater up towards the attacking 50 at right half forward. Nelson went flying out. So too did the South Australian player there in Hender. Bell was the bumper. Then he followed up and got the footy. Got it to Knott, to Schleuf, to Bolton. Here's a chance now for Nelson. He wobbles one in towards full forward. Sokol's there again. Good defensive work though by Rose, who's just knocked the ball away initially from Sokol and then through for a rush behind.
And a bit of humour there. Ben Sokol tied up in the reverse net there.
He's still there.
One for the bloopers, maybe a couple of bucks fine for the boys at Subiaco throughout the week, and still struggling to get out of that.
I think
the umpire's done the right thing. He's
held up play. That's great. Yeah, it is good.
There's no time on, so Ben, anytime soon, mate. I think it's just he ripped his boot off. He's disentangled himself, so his opponent Rose with the clearing kick from the goal square. Galt didn't take the mark, got possession and gave it to Black, to Horsley, the 31-year-old, kicking it back toward full forward. Or Bennell just couldn't take the mark on that occasion. Rose was under pressure. Not a really correct disposal. He's in there again pretty severely on Bennell, but he got away with it.
That's lucky there from South Australian boys. It looks like Bennell's got his chin up, and he's looking to add to what he's already what's that a 3 goals 1 performance, and he's to be lively this last quarter.
Noel wins the tap, proud from his knees. Comes out from Haynes. Now the long clearing kick, a high one. 2-on-2, no mark taken. Hender made pretty good contact when the ball was in mid-air, but it went straight onto the chest there of Litherland, who sends it back from whence it came, pretty deep into the forward line. Off hands Noel in the role of Crummer on that occasion, feeds it to Noble. Noble, the high kick, up over centre wing. No mark taken. Here's a chance for Petrenko. close to the boundary line, kicks it up to a one-on-one. This is a really important one for Western Australia. Sinclair did well to soccer it to Lockyer. Lockyer then took a little bit too long, taking in a good tackle, illegal disposal. And South Australia, that was a terrific effort on that occasion by Jack Hayes.
He's leading the tackles. He's set a pretty high standard, Hayes, the big bloke.
To Menzel.
Eighth tackle.
Yeah, still too far out to score, but Menzel, foot skills are pretty good on that occasion. He overcooked it, and the mark taken by Sinclair goes to Bolton, who's still finding plenty of space. This time inside the defensive 50.
Great kick to Hampson.
It's a lovely kick to Hampson. Didn't take it cleanly. Got two opponents there to beat, but he shows them a clean pair of heels. Kicks it to space inside attacking 50. Wisely looking for Bennell. Oh, but well done by Haynes to win the one-on-one. Get support from Sutcliffe. Then across the face of goal. And a chance there for South Australia to relieve the pressure from Proud. Takes a couple of bounces. Shows a bit of confidence. Hand pass to Noble. Back to Proud. Gives it to Foot. Foot drew a player. Well done by Noble, who's run really hard down the line. Now under pressure with the kick. He didn't finish it off with a good disposal. Undid his good work by turning it over with a kick out of bounds on the full, and Kennedy.
I'm not sure how long South Australia are going to play this handball game. They need to start getting some long direct kicks in because, as you can see, if they're cooking it, they fortunately can't make the front and centre. But that's a great grab there by Hampson, who has the opportunity to add to the scoreboard, marking almost directly in front, about 45 metres out.
And Sokol was his shadow then too. He almost could have taken it himself, but it's left it to.
Well, it was a good kick by
George.
Kitchen. He just put it up nicely for George Hampson. He's got good hands.
Pretty quiet game for George. Just his
been.
fourth quick kick.
Just outside 50. Goes with the drop punt. Hasn't quite got the carry. In fact, it's touched and helped
Touched
through.
to the line.
Yeah, by the South Australia Defensive Brigade. So Western Australia need goals. That was a rush behind Sutcliffe doing the kicking in. Now long ball. Down the wing. Yeah, it was ill-directed. Tony Knott, uncontested mark on his chest. Josh Coe wouldn't want to see that. No coach would. Knott, long ball. Back in towards the deep inside the WA attacking zone. Off hands Delahunty. Got it to Mitchell. Cross his body. Clever little kick. Now it's taken by Galt. Galt across his body. Just didn't get enough on it, and the ball cartwheels through for another behind.
Just a bit of sting being taken out of the game from what we can see up here, boys. But it's going to be super important that skills remain high, or else it's going to be a bit of a tossy-turny game for what's going to be the last 19 minutes of the game.
Yeah, 19 minutes left to go, so there certainly is a long way. Western Australia just passing up a few opportunities there. As Jack Stevens goes for distance down the outer wing. Sinclair there. Actually running past him was Foot. Fitness is going to play a bit of a part in this, boys, too, because it's been a sapping, it's been a hard game, quite physical, not overly, but plenty of fast movement of the footy. So it will have taken its toll.
And it's important to understand that all these players on the ground do have to front up to their respective clubs the following week. So we'd like to see a pretty hard-fought game all the way through to the buzzer for this fourth quarter.
Nelson to Bolton, but across his body, Bolton has picked out an opponent. This is Noble again. He's been very good and maybe even getting better, although I've just put my footage on that occasion. The short pass was meant for Kane Stevens. Intercepting it was Delahunty, and Delahunty just nursed that kick into an area that was beautifully protected by Ben Sokol. He's taken the mark 30 metres out directly in front. In fact, closer than that. He's really only just over 20 metres out directly in front. Pretty much in the range. The spot he was at the other end of the ground on the siren at the end of the third quarter where he missed.
I'm sure his line off the goal here is going to have a little bit more mental focus to ensure we can keep pegging away the South Australian lead.
His run-up is more than the distance he's got to carry with the kick, so he's taking plenty of time. Just gets his rhythm, comes in, steers this one through. That is a good kick. He's now got 4 goals for the afternoon. Importantly, Ben Sokol not traumatised by that miss on the siren at three-quarter time. He's now got 2 goals in the opening 9 3/4 minutes of this fourth quarter, and 4 for the day.
He's kicked 4-2, so from his he's having a real influence. He could be the match winner if he gets another couple of opportunities.
Plenty of time. There's 18 minutes to go.
Yep, so 9 points, so it's the closest it's been in since early in the third quarter. WA, as we've said, led for deep into the third term, and then it stretched it out to 20 points against, so they've done well to get it back into single figures, but they've still got plenty of work to do.
Well done by Galt. Down to Horsley. Hurried clearance from Horsley to the attacking 50. Through went Delahunty, shrugged the tackler. Now gave it off to Knott, who was just a little slow, trying to wind up and get it onto his left boot, but really good tackle has been rewarded.
And both sides here, Phil, definitely capitalising on the errors from the other side. So, lack of torque or direction, turnovers, both sides still mentally in the game. How far physically can they go?
Proud with the footy. Oh, that was almost too long for Haynes. He had to stretch to reel that one in. Concedes a bit of ground, getting it back into the corridor. Curran gives it some air time. Gets it out to Ormond. Ormond's got Pierce really loose on the outer side of the ground. Shane Nelson just lapsing in concentration. Pierce picks out a target, and unfortunately it's Lachlan Delahunty. Take that for an intercept mark. Brilliant effort by Delahunty. Now no pressure on his mark. Goes with a short pass and a shocker of his own. Turns it over. Here's Tropiano. So Tropiano to find Pierce. He's got a runner outside. Will he use him? He won't. He goes with a low hard ball. And again, it's just inviting the intercept mark. This time it's Sinclair.
He's been pretty solid, Michael Sinclair, on debut.
Always is. Goes to Lockyer. Lockyer uses the player out wide in the pocket, and that's Bailey Rogers.
Got Sloth on short. Might opt to hit the guts. Kane Mitchell.
He did go short, but to Mitchell, yeah. Now Lockyer again.
And the WA boys really have to get on the move here. If they're going to switch this ball, it's all about the run. That's a great run there by Angus Litherland. Hasn't seen much stats-wise, but has been influential in regards to when he has on the footy. Great hit to Lachlan Delahunty, but
couldn't mark it.
Couldn't mark it.
So Hender had it. He was taken to ground in a good tackle. So this match really on the line at the moment. Next goal is so important. I know that seems logical to say, but from a momentum point of view, beautifully down from Delahunty to DeLuca, a hard-working kick into space on the outer wing. Hampson fell over but got the hand pass in the act of doing that to Mitchell. A bit of an up and under. There's Blair Bell. Good strength. Here's a chance now for the skipper in Jack Stevens to Sinclair. Sinclair goes across the face of goal. That's beautiful delivery. Running onto the chest mark was Noble. So Noble looking for and finding Hender. Very strong overhead. What can Hender do? We've lost out. Here's Hender. A bit of a false start. Put himself under a bit of pressure. Then he goes back toward full back and finds Haynes. Haynes continues the trend across the face of goal. Hoskin has found some space on the outer wing. Foot on the end of that pass. That's a strong mark. So from sitting on the ground there, feeds the hand pass up towards full forward. Menzel might have been pushed, was pushed. They're given the advantage. This is not going to play into their hands. They've turned it over. Lockyer's hand pass goes to the grass. Petrenko deep in the pocket, pushed by Lockyer.
On the full. There it is too.
So he got it to his boot, did he?
Yep, we've got some tired players out there, Phil.
Yep.
So, I think it's going to be, the game of mental capacity for both sides, with a long kick for WA to Delahunty's advantage. Great grab by Lachlan.
Yeah, Delahunty, when others are falling over around him, he stood tall and took the mark. Fabulous player, Lachlan Delahunty. Now an experienced state player. Gets under this one a little bit. No mark taken there by Sokol. Fell heavily on his coccyx. Coming up with it, though, was Tropiano. Weighs up his options. The ball slightly off the side of the boot. Lockyer goes the punch. Chance now for Ramsey. He was running at it. Got support from Delahunty that Ramsey got it back from him, but his hand pass was intercepted there by Hoskin. Goes with a high ball to the goal square, a vacant goal square. Sinclair gets back. The only player back there in actual fact. Short pass to Nelson, and Western Australia out of trouble with a short pass to Mitchell. Back to Bailey Rogers. Just need a really cool head at the moment, Western Australia. They still trail by 9 points, so they need the next goal. Looking for a target. That was a bit ambitious. Litherland never really in the best position to be on the end of that kick. And South Australia would be very happy to have forced a ball in.
I think WA will also be happy to force that boundary throw in as well. Everyone has to reset here. The leaders, as we've discussed across all three lines, really have to get their charges all in line to ensure no lapse of mental disposal here.
Hayes and Delahunty. The hand pass comes out. Good low pass up towards full forward. Lockyer was out of position. Here's a chance now again for South Australia. Wilson on the end of the hand pass. He blazed away. Probably, we've been singing his praises. On that occasion, he probably could have done a little bit better. And a behind gives them a lead of 10 points. 15.5 gone final quarter.
We've got Black here in the deep pocket of the defensive 50 for Western Australia, kicking long down the line. Again, another great grab there by Delahunty.
Isn't he just a workhorse? Nelson got it, then Ramsey gave it off to Bolton. He's not stopped running, nor Mitchell. On the end of a good Bolton pass.
Good signs here for WA.
Well, nearly a mark to Sokol. Could get the free kick. Was there holding? There was. So on the point of the set, Did he pay the mark? Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
he's
either
strong,
way,
isn't he? He's got strong hands.
That was a really good. The player on him in Haynes is pretty strong with the body as well. He murders the kick, does Sokol. He's had a few bad moments with the kicking, but it ended up with Nelson, and it's all worked out okay because Nelson, a clever little foot pass, has ended up with that man there, Schleuf, and he'll shoot a goal from 35 metres out on a 60-degree angle.
We're just over 10 minutes to play. This is a super important goal for West Australia to really keep them in touch with the South Australian boys as Schleuf lines up for what's going to be his third.
Gets them back to a kick. Should he kick straight, there'll be a kick left in it. Schleuf sends this one out to the right. That was never on target, so disappointing there from Hayden Schleuf. Just blots his copybook. 2 goals, 1 his return.
Yes. How many times have we seen state games come down to the last couple of minutes? Certainly State of Origin, that's a great history in that format. And 10 years ago, WA beat South Australia by 1 point on a rainy day at Leederville Oval, where it went back and forth, didn't it?
Yep.
Lewis Jetta announced himself.
Absolutely.
There was
a goal from 70.
Sutcliffe kicked the ball down the line. I thought maybe Galt had interfered with his opponent, but Galt's been paid the mark. Sends it back up toward full forward. No mark taken. A lot of players around the footy there. Bennell's lurking. He's gone quiet since his brilliant first half. So Western Australia again, they can reset here. South Australia with numbers back.
Hasn't touched the ball since half-time, Michael Bennell.
Extraordinary, isn't it? He's still lurking in there. Here's Noel with his head down over the footy. Picking up his DeLuca. He's great in close like that, DeLuca. This time he's kicking the left boot, but inaccurately it's gone over the line on the full.
1-1, the return for Josh DeLuca at this point in the game.
Yeah, he's been a workhorse, hasn't he? 28 possessions, kicked a goal. Needed more then, though.
So now there was some... the arm was just draped over the top there of Michael Knoll, just over the shoulders of Lachlan Delahunty, so he'll get the free kick. So still this game in the balance as he chips the hand pass off to Schleuf. The kick a bit of a wobbler. Going back is Rose, uses the handball to Curran. Snelling had it. He turned himself into trouble, and that's holding the ball. So who's got the free kick? It's Bolton. Putting his hand up maybe for another Simpson medal. Jai Bolton uses it long toward full forward. Bennell's down there. It's knocked away from Sokol. Black had it, released the hand pass toward the boundary line. Getting there is Ormond, and he successfully just works the ball over the line for a throw-in. 25 metres around from WA's right behind post.
You can see their method is pretty clear, isn't it? Get the ball out and away from goal. And just hang on. But
Still
there's 8 minutes to go. It's a long while to go, isn't it?
Yep, 8 minutes to go. 9 points to margin. Noel, Bennell nearly had it. Then he just left without the footy. Curran, a desperate little kick. Well taken by Noble. Noble's hand pass looking through Jack Stevens. Knocked away from him. Was there high contact? There was.
We've got George Hampson with a free kick in front of goal to hopefully, again, continue to knock this league down.
He's got plenty of experience, has George Hampson. He's a 29-year-old, played plenty of footy. Yep. No stranger to state footy either. So this is the sort of pressure situation where you need players like Hampson to stand up.
His first shot of goal was quite some way out, so a little bit closer. And by the looks of things, has pushed it to the left. So George Hampson can't hit the scoreboard with the goals, but his return for the day so far is 2 points.
8 minutes remaining.
Just those set shots since late in the third quarter that have really hurt him, haven't they? Hurt WA.
Orban's kick not marked there by Noel. Tropiano hard-working hand pass to Snelling, then back to Tropiano. He's not stopped running. The 2015 Sandover medalist kicks it in towards the half-forward line. Look at Wilson's attack on the footy. Oh, Wilson gathers it brilliantly. Could be a goal coming up. Will be a goal coming up. Shares it with Hender. Runs into an open goal. And South Australia, with just 7.5 minutes to go in this final quarter, look as though they could be poised to lift the Hayden Button Junior Cup.
Angus Littleland really had to do a lot better there. He had the whole ground in front of him, approached the ball in the contest just that little bit too aggressively, overran the football, obviously with the South Australian runners coming through the gaps, and Wilson being not selfish at all, hands the ball over to Hender to cap off his second goal for the afternoon.
So 9 points becomes 15 with only 7 minutes remaining, guys. This looks like a very, very tough contract for WA.
Yes, they need 3 goals in just over 6 minutes, or just under 6 minutes now. It's ticked over 21.
Ball up, favours Galt. Well, in fact, it was Noel in the end who swatted the ball, but straight down the throat of Horsley. Kicks it forward, not ran onto it. From his knees was Delahunty. Great tackle there on Proud, illegal disposal. So the free kick going the way of Kitchen, who realises the situation. Goes wide, finds Nelson. This is beyond Nelson's range, one thinks.
He's missed Sokol. He had a good lead then.
Yeah, he finds Horsley. Now, Horsley may be a chance from here. He wants to play on and wind up on this one. Gets to the line of 50. Shoots a long goal. And again, Kyle Horsley. Doesn't he stand up when he needs to? The skipper has now kicked 2 second-half goals. Realising the desperate nature of the situation, Horsley couldn't afford to go back and kick over the man on his mark. Wound up on that left boot. Kicked truly. And Western Australia, rather, chances still alive.
A bit of sprites in the step of the WA boys, with obviously the time being solid at 27 minutes. Everyone's aware of the time remaining, so it's WA's gallant effort. They're really going to have to get them over the line here, with a couple of goals still having to get them the lead. It's
gone past the designated finish time too, so that's a bit of an issue. We don't expect to have the siren blown because of its if it's short of time, but it's a pretty tight deadline given that the AFL game starts in 1 hour exactly.
Yeah, very tight. There's WA emerging again through Horsley and Bolton. The combination has been brilliant. Bennell let this one slip through his fingers. Blair Bell had it and lost it. Hand pass now into the path there of Jack Stevens.
Great run down
the
by
hand pass
Hampson.
Not good. It allowed Haynes in.
Get around.
And the ball snapped on goal by Sokol, but just couldn't drag it back enough. So, boys, I'm going to have to leave you because I'm going downstairs for the presentation of the medals, the Foss Williams medal as well as the Simpson medal. But the winner of this match still far from decided.
Absolutely, Phil, and great on the call this afternoon as South Australia head all the way out, and what's been a mark by WA here. Sokol again.
Yeah, he's been very good, hasn't he? He's actually he's every chance to win the medal for WA.
As WA go deep into the forward line again. Horsley around the corner has missed.
It's got it back to a kick. That's the most significant thing about that point, is that it's back to 6 points with 3.25 minutes to go, Talon.
West Australia have to keep the ball in their forward 50 here. The latter half of the ground is vacant, so it is all flooding by both sides at the eastern end of the ground, with South Australia driving long to the ruckman.
Yeah, Delahunty in the play there, can't take the ball to ground. There's a sense of desperation, isn't there, about Western Australia at the moment.
South Australia have broken away.
That's Petrenko, highly experienced player. He's got it out there in front of Troy Menzel, who's done some very good things in the second half today.
Can't pick it up here. Snap on goal is though South Australia have kept it in, WA have kicked it over.
Yeah, that was a strange move, wasn't it? You'd think maybe it's better to get that 7-point margin.
Sinclair had been strong to get that ball through, but Bolton with the mark on defensive 50. Hits into the guts, has found Aaron Black with an amazing hit. And we've got Sinclair coming in through the guts again. Hampson takes the mark just outside WA's 50 and is looking to move the ball in very, very quickly. Bolton has run really well to get on the end of that. With again, everyone flogging. Sorry, that was Shane Nelson.
And Horsley the mark.
And Shane Nelson has kicked successfully to Horsley. Horsley plays on. Unfortunately, hits the South Australian on the chest. And if I was in the South Australian camp right now, we'd all about slowing it down. WA really have to squeeze up on their opponents and get as much of the free ball as they can, with South Australia again moving through the centre of the ground and kicking forward.
They need a mark, South Australia, don't they? And if they can do that, they can soak enough time out of the game to be assured of the victory. It's still alive. There's still over a minute to go, but WA need to score twice to win or draw. Can
and
they do it?
Sinclair with a fantastic spoil.
No time on, Talon. That's the critic. The clock is against WA, isn't it? With the ball being punched deep into over the boundary.
It is all hands on deck here with a single minute to spare. We've got South Australia in front, 16-400 pace, 13-15, 93 to WA. Ball in South Australia's hands with another kick snapped hard into the South Australian forward line. West Australia recover through Pearce.
Here it's a desperate last effort. George Hampson needs to mark. They need to get the ball out.
All hands on deck for the Crow Eaters here, with South Australia holding up the ball and chipping short.
And he'll hold this for 30 seconds, won't he? No, he's gone back. So
Jared.
The dream is just about over for WA. They will finish with 6 consecutive state wins to equal the record they set in 1927.
The third quarter was where WA had come undone with a very fast start by the Crow Eaters in that third quarter, the premiership quarter, as we all know its names. But with the dying seconds on the clock and with Sloyds grabbing the ball, we see South Australia to take the chocolates, leading and finishing ahead of WA. South Australia 16-4, 100. Have taken the game against Western Australia 13-5, 93. Goal scorers for the Kia WA state team. Fantastic effort there by Ben Sokol with 4 goals. Michael Bunnell, an electric first half of football, ended up with 3 goals won.
Didn't touch it after half time, and that's part of the reason that WA have gone down, obviously.
2 goals to Captain Kyle Horsley, a fantastic final quarter for Kyle. 2 for Hayden Sloyth, with singles to Josh DeLuca and Gerald Ugle. Goals coming thick and fast for the West End SANFL state team, with 4 goals there to Jonathan Beach. Dual goals to Lewis Hender, Justin Hoskin, Dom Barry, who played a very handy role for the Crow Eaters in the first half of football. Jordan Foote finished really well, as did Troy Menzel, 2 goals each.
And Matthew, I'm just watching Matthew Pavlich punching the air down there. He's previewing, obviously, the Fremantle-Richmond game, but he spoke to the South Australian players last night. He's obviously a South Australian native, been over here for nearly 20 years now, the big Pav. And just had the little punch of the air to a couple of the South Australians, so he's pretty happy with that. Great effort from South Australia. They deserved to win. They were outplayed in the first half, and they got behind 16 points in the first quarter and 22 in the second, and were down by a couple of goals early in the third, but fought back, got in front, and then held on to the lead, and didn't surrender the lead once they got it back. So they've done a great job. A great credit to Josh Carr, who's got them to gel pretty well in a short period of time. And South Australia have ended that remarkable winning streak for Western Australia.
Before we cut down to Phil Lamb for the presentations, thanks very much for all of our Facebook live tuners in across all different WAFL ranks. We've seen a few of our team supporters and players, but we're going to leave you now to Phil Lamb down at the presentations for the estate game.
Appreciation for 2 wonderful teams, South Australia and Western Australia. Congratulations go to South Australia, but I now invite to the microphone the captain of the West Australian team, Kyle Horsley, to say a few words. Kyle? Is Kyle there?
Captain?
Kyle, Kyle Horsley, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers, mate. Obviously, first of all, to South Australia, Josh and Jake, unbelievable performance today. You've really countered the attack well on us, got us on the bounce. Game was played in great spirits, and it shows why your comp is so strong. To our boys, obviously, 13-15, probably not good enough. Poor kicking's poor football, but can't question the effort. To the sponsors, to Optus and Kia, without sponsors at this level, the game just doesn't exist. So everybody, big businesses buying new cars, getting on phone plans, make sure you use them two companies because that's what keeps it thriving. And to the WAFC, to get us on this ground, to support the way you do, to keep WAFL, keep state footy going is huge. Boys love playing and it's such an honour. So obviously to Brody and the coaches, you said that's such a good plan, you really bonded as well. We just didn't deliver on the day. So anyway, cheers, thanks for coming out. Oh, happy Mother's Day to the mums out there. Probably the most selfless people in the world. And to my mum and stepmum, I love you guys. You've done so much for me and I can't thank you enough. Cheers.
Well done, Kyle Horsley. Well done to Western Australia. It's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to ask to come forward the CEO of the West Australian Football Commission, along with one of the legends of our game. Would you please make welcome Gavin Taylor and Bill Walker to present the Simpson Medal to WA's best player. Gavin and Bill Walker, one of our great legends, coming forward to present the Simpson Medal to our best player this afternoon, Josh DeLuca. Josh. No one more surprised than Josh DeLuca, but what a great game and a worthy winner of the Simpson Medal.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well done, Josh. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It's definitely unexpected. I wasn't even watching when you called out the name. Thanks everyone for coming to watch. South Australia, you boys came to play. You were really good. Can't condemn your efforts. Our boys, you fought hard all day. There was plenty of opportunity. Disappointed, but we'll come back next year and we'll bounce back. But thank you very much for everyone who puts this together. I really appreciate it. It was a really great experience. Thank you.
Well done, Josh. Worthy winner of the Simpson Medal. I now invite the Chief Executive Officer of the South Australian National Football League, Mr. Jake Parkinson, to come forward and present the Foss Williams Medal to the best player afield for South Australia. And it goes to none other than Michael Knoll. Fabulous effort, mate. Just a couple of words.
Just want to say big thanks to you boys. Awesome job. Competed hard. Yeah, it's just a privilege being out here, and just awesome effort, boys. And we'll be celebrating well tonight. Cheers.
Great effort. Well played, Michael. And now it's with pleasure that I'd ask the winning coach, Josh Carr, to come forward and say a few words on behalf of his South Australian team. Josh? Josh Carr there being presented with the Hayden Button Junior Medal, and a very happy and proud coach, no doubt. Josh?
Yeah, thanks very much. First of all, thanks to the Western Australian Football Commission for having us over here. Obviously to the Western Australian boys, you've had a good run over the last 5 or 6 years. You've really, showed a lot of care about your state footy, about your competition, and to our boys, South Australian boys, it's been a long time since we came over here and won. So, real commitment to the team. And understanding of how much we care about our footy. So thank you, and that's it.
Good on you, Josh. Worthy winners this year, ladies and gentlemen. Would you please show your appreciation once again for both the Western Australian and South Australian teams? A magnificent game of state football, and congratulations to South Australia for taking the Hayden Button Junior Cup in 2019. Thank you very much for your attendance.